6:04 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing, starting you off at 62 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Getting you ready for a big Thursday show. We got Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo. We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow for a little makeup date with the DC Current presented by LABI. Congresswoman is usually on Wednesdays, so she was traveling yesterday, so we'll hit her up at 7:15. We've got Crimestoppers coming your way at 7:35. We've got Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain in the 8 o'clock hour. I mean, we are loaded up, ready to go. Starting things off, top stories and trending.
Number 5.
Number 5 starts us off at last night's Metro Council meeting. They had to go into executive session last night to talk about Brave Cave settlements. When they came out, they were unable to get, they went into executive session last night, voted to delete 2 of the 6 offers of judgments from their agenda. They were unable to get the remaining items before the meeting ended. Long and the short of it is, we're still waiting to learn more about where the settlements are eventually going to be headed with Brave Cave victims.
Number 4.
An unloaded gun was found in a Capital Middle School student's backpack on Wednesday, and 2 students were booked into the juvenile detention center. East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office said deputies arrested a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old. They were both booked into the juvenile facility for illegal carrying of a firearm or school property and illegal possession of a handgun by a juvenile.
Number 3.
Louisiana's Board of Elementary and Secondary Education said it will turn control of 2 Baker schools that received 4 consecutive F ratings over to a charter company after the local school board voted to close both schools back in February. Bessie's School Innovation and Turnaround Committee voted 9-1 on Tuesday to have Baker Heights Elementary and Baker Middle Schools taken over by Geo Academies.
Number 2.
The state education department also updated their curriculum to reflect President Trump's name change of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. On Wednesday, Bessie unanimously approved the change for the state's social studies standards to make the renaming for the 2025 to 2026 school year.
Number 1.
The annual Wearing of Green parade has been rescheduled due to inclement weather forecast for Saturday. The parade was scheduled to roll 10 a.m. Saturday. However, due to rain in the forecast, they've pushed this back to Sunday at noon will be the start time. By the way, the Shamrock Run will also be Sunday before the parade. What's trending, John?
Well, new data suggests that a notable deceleration in the U.S. inflation rate, potentially offering some relief to both consumers and policymakers.
That is fantastic news.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's happy about it, right?
Oh, I'm sure, right?
It's got to be. Gotta be.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Oh, man. Louisiana is now part of Tornado Alley. Recent studies show a shift in activity that brings the region into the southeast.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, Tornado Alley, I guess, no longer starts way up by Canada, where the cold air that is part of the equation for the tornadoes gets going. So, I'm not surprised. And the thing is, though, we're not in the worst of it. We're in a red zone,
right?
But when you look at the widened out map, we're a lot more yellow than red. So,
which is okay. Just the fact that we're there, you know,
right?
That we're among those in Tornado Alley. Hey, the Philadelphia Eagles have made it official. They will visit the White House after their Super Bowl win.
Awesome.
Look at that, huh?
Yeah, look at that.
Well, we talked about that about a week or two ago.
Yeah, right after the Super Bowl when it's bigger than any one president. It's bigger than who's in the office. It's about the office itself.
Exactly.
It's about the office and the moment and not the moment for you as the champion. It's I don't care about your politics. It's part of like getting a ring and hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. It's part of the overall package. You go to the White House.
Yeah.
So
no matter who's there, you know what I mean? Looking back on it, I mean, you're not going to care who was in office, right? I mean, you have
one would hope,
right?
One
you look
would
back and you think, you know,
yeah,
glad we done that.
Yep.
Good for you, Philadelphia.
We're at 6:09 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We got a lot of sports to cover, so we're going to break in just a second. Before we take that break, got to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. LandmarkBankLA.com is the website. LandmarkBankLA.com. Personal banking, business banking, they've got you covered. And I say it every day. You don't just want a bank, you want a banker. You want to make sure that when you walk through the front door, the person you're shaking hands with is the person that you're doing business with, the person who understands your business or understands your situation personally. You're not just a line item. You're not just a number on a piece of paper with Landmark Bank. They've been doing this for well over 100 years now. They are the true version or the true definition of a community bank. Check them out online at landmarkbankla.com. Find out where the branches is. Learn a little bit more about how they can serve you. It's Landmark Bank. What's that? You get the men's basketball highlights?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got some for me? You want to pull any from them?
Yeah, let me see what was in there. Miller dunk, 2.2.
Okay. Got it.
Ow. .614 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is sports time. LSU's men's basketball season is donezo, over with last night after dropping their opening round game to Mississippi State in the SEC tournament, 91-62. Man, I was producing the game last night and coming out of halftime, LSU was down by 20 at the half. And coming out of halftime, I tweeted, if LSU can whittle away 5 points at a time on this lead in between each break, then they're not really out of it just yet. I mean, you got a break at 16, media breaks at 16 minutes, the under 16, under 12, under 8, and under 4 as the clock wears on. I mean, if you think about it, we whittle away 5 points at a time for each segment of the second half. You're not really out of it. First 5 minutes of the second half, I was feeling really, really good about that because LSU got that lead down from 20 down to 11. In fact, it happened on this play.
Gibbons down the floor, gives it off Miller. Miller will bend the rim from the right side. Great job by Gibbons. Nobody stopped him with the ball, and he got all the way inside the SEC logo. Then they showed up. He gets it to Miller, and Miller does the rest. That makes it 51-40. It's an 11-point lead, what was 20 at the half.
Now, that was the closest the Tigers would get as Mississippi State would go on a tear. I said it all season long. LSU was always just one guy short. Last night, they were clearly more than one guy short. In fact, they were not figuratively more than one guy short. They were literally more than one guy short. Corey Chest and Victorious Miller did not make the trip. The Miller you heard, Chris Blair on the call for LSU. The Miller you heard him talking about there was Robert Miller III, the freshman phenom who really turned things on in the back, let's say, quarter of the season to put out a decent freshman year for LSU. He'll be back next year. He's a bright spot, to be sure. Meanwhile, last night for the Tigers, they were led in scoring by Jordan Sears, who had 20. Cam Carter was held to 13. Robert Miller III had 14. That does it for LSU's season, barring some weird scenario where 13 conference teams would make the NCAA tournament. They could be opened up for an NIT bid. I'm not holding my breath. Meanwhile, while LSU season is done, McNeese's is not. The Cowboys post up a 63-54 win over Lamar to win the Southland Conference, getting them an automatic bid into the NCAA. Will Wade wins the conference in back-to-back years now, so goes back to the big dance. McNeese is 27-6 on the season. They went 19-1 in Southland Conference play, and they have looked impressive doing it. Not so much towards the back end of the conference. They've had some peaks and valleys throughout conference play, but golly, to start off the season, they were just on a tear. So we'll all be following Will Wade as March Madness gets here. Meanwhile, LSU football is in spring football is in full swing. Got underway this week, and it's a chance for Garrett Nussmeier to start working with his new skill position players on offense. The Tigers have 16 transfers who have joined the program, including several new wide receivers and a new tight end. Coach Brian Kelly says this is a good time to get that connection down. Cut 16.
He's got some guys that, certainly provide him with a lot of different options from, Nick Anderson with his size to Barry Brown with the vertical threat. Getting a relationship with even Chris Hilton, who he didn't get a lot of work with last year.
The nation's number one high school running back is also on the practice field for LSU. That would be Harlem Berry from St. Martin's. Kelly says he could tell Berry is an instinctive player from jump.
He's got to keep building in the weight room. He's got to build a coat of armor. He's got to get stronger. But it's a nice thing to see when you don't have to coach every aspect of a particular player, and that's Harlem Berry.
Spring football will roll on. Meanwhile, baseball will roll on as well. Conference play gets underway for LSU baseball tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. You'll hear it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, as LSU will be hosting Missouri for a 3-game set. Now, as it stands right now, the Tigers are scheduled to play at 6 p.m. Saturday and then again 1 p.m. Sunday to round out that 3-game set. However, looking at the forecast, we already know the wearing of the green has been postponed from Saturday to Sunday, so the possibility of there being a doubleheader in baseball on Sunday is really out there. Looking at the hour-by-hour forecast, which I very, very rarely trust, but it's all we've got to go on right now, the hour-by-hour forecast shows that all the rain should be done Saturday by about 5 o'clock. So that would give you an hour to pull the tarp off the field, get things dried out again. But if we're still, more than 48 hours away. So if the weather doesn't play along and does not stay on the schedule that it's on right now, we could see either delays on Saturday or just push back to a doubleheader on Sunday. Meanwhile, right here on Talk 107.3 FM tomorrow night, LSU softball hosting Kentucky to begin conference play there. Here comes the Fox Business Report. Good morning, sir. Oh. Where'd you offsite at yesterday?
The Water Institute. That was filled out almost immediately.
Feel the mics. All right, let's head back to the Chawbills Tire Traffic Center real quick. Here's what we got going on to start your Thursday morning. We do have some added volume on I-12 westbound coming in from Livingston Parish. I know I normally tell you about the normal volume right there. We'll beef it up just a little bit. It's normal back by Denham Springs. However, once you get to around the Sherwood Forest exit, it does pick up significantly and stays pretty heavy all the way up to the 10-12 merge. Meanwhile, I-10 westbound looks like it's slow going from about Drusilla up to the merge, or well, I guess I should say Essen Lane up to the merge, and then I-10 westbound making the way through the city. We got a little heavier than normal volume there as well. 10 eastbound coming in from West Baton Rouge looks good right now. I-110 looks good right now as well. On your, oh, you know what? Okay, here's exactly why you've got the added volume on 12 westbound. You do have an accident from about 30 minutes ago. I-12 west right near the or in between Airline and the Split, so that is going to back things up. And there's also a stalled vehicle on 10 west near Acadian that looks like it's jamming things up a little bit as well. Now back to your surface streets. We have hang on, this one just popped up as well. Brand new crash on 10 west at College Drive. All right, it's looking like the interstates are going to be a problem earlier than normal this morning, to be sure, as that is two separate accidents being worked, one on 12 West and then one on 10 West by College. So let's all be on the lookout for that. Only thing on your surface streets right now is up in Central Duval at Hooper. There's an accident being worked. That's your look at traffic from the Chawbills Tire Traffic Center. 624 Talk 107.3 FM and WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We got a Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo coming up a little over 10 minutes from right now. It is springtime. Weather's getting warmer. You're going to hear the forecast from McCade Cowan coming up in, right at 10 minutes. And part of springtime usually means spring cleaning. Homeowners and business owners need you both to pay attention real quick. Get a look at your building. Get a look at your house. Could it use a little freshening up on the outside? Yeah, you're going to knock out your spring cleaning on the inside, but could it use a little freshening up on the outside? Do you have algae? Do you have mold, mildew, buildup? And oh, by the way, get a look at your roof as well. It might be up there. If so, you need to give Cajun Soft Wash a call. It is time to just get them out there from Cajun Soft Wash. They come out, they apply a 100% biodegradable solution to your roof. It is a special blend that they mix specifically for the needs of your cleaning project. Like, they'll diagnose what you've got. And it's not just, oh, look, that's green. It's not that simple. They get a lot more in depth than that. And the goal is a 100% kill ratio to combat anything that is on your walls or on your roof. It prolongs the life of your roof. It makes your building look so much better. And it's not just the roof. They can knock out the sidewalks as well as your walls. Check them out online at CajunSoftwash.com. CajunSoftwash.com. So much to cover right now. There's so much going on. The Metro Council last night with their... Let me just read you the story from WBRZ. Making amends for victims of the Brave Cave was on the agenda for the EBR Metro Council meeting Wednesday night. The attorneys for the victims calling the offer of judgments on the agenda an insult. On Wednesday afternoon, the attorneys for the victims, along with the religious leaders and social justice leaders, spoke ahead of the Metro Council meeting, saying there's been little communication between the attorneys and the city parish. Attorney Ryan Thompson said it's near impossible to put a price tag on pain, but the $90,000 being offered to Brave Cave victim Turnell Brown is nowhere close. Brown was upset at the situation. Quote, no one reached out, not the chief of police, the prior nor the current, not the mayor, the prior nor the current, none of you guys. No one ever apologized or gave us anything, Brown said. I want to pause right there just to, as an aside to this. I find it hard to, you have a brand new mayor, and he's still brand new, and you have a relatively new police chief, and neither one of them were responsible for what went down at the Brave Cave. Let's put this out there for our Facebook Live audience. I want your comments on Facebook Live. Is an apology part of the equation here? Does an apology fix things? I mean, hell, so it's a lot cheaper, right? Does an apology fix things? From either Sid Edwards or Chief Morse. Back to the story. The council went into executive session. When they exited executive session, they voted to delete 2 of the 6 offer of judgments from the agenda. Council was unable to get the remaining items before the meeting ended. Attorney Ron Haley said, quote, if a victim rejects an offer of judgment, let's say the judgment's for $5 and that victim gets $4.99, that means that victim will be on the hook. That is, that if this council votes on that offer of judgment, that victim will be on the hook for all the attorney's fees, all the experts, basically being penalized for exercising her due process rights. There is so much still to unpack from what went down last night. We had Metro Councilwoman Jen Rocca on yesterday, and it was all about the budget. It was all about the library tax and where money's going to move around to and how money's going to get from point A to point B. We didn't even get into Brave Cave stuff. But I'm reading this story this morning, and then the version over at The Advocate as well, and I'm at a complete loss as far as where we are right now. We'll pick it back up in a later time. I wanted to dig a little bit further in because I felt like top stories and trending left a lot to be desired when it came to describing what happened. And as you get into more detail, you realize it's why. Is because we're nowhere. sound off over on our Facebook Live. Does an apology change things? It's certainly not going to lessen the price tag. I mean, I could say it tongue in cheek that, yeah, an apology is cheaper, but it's not going to lessen the price tag. And the people who are in charge right now did not do it. Let me know over on Facebook Live. Meanwhile, on air, we got a break. We got news coming up. ABC News, local news, traffic, weather. Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo next. Why? Yeah. Well, and religion's not a part of it. Right. I do not know. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, sweetheart.
Morning, Christy.
Okay, Troy put in. Okay, yes. What'd the caller say?
Yeah, shout out to the caller. I don't want to interrupt, but shout out to the caller. There's a gooseneck trailer on the far right side of College Drive, but they said traffic is still flowing. But yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
Trailer apparently with a blowout on the side of it.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, Troy's right.
Eric says where I'm at emotionally, but Troy says what I was hoping someone would say, as far as like an apology might be viewed as an admission of guilt, which doesn't help settlement negotiation. Right.
And that's what they're wanting. They're wanting, oh, y'all admitted you're saying you're as an apology. You're telling us, okay, so we're gonna
like, remember when Ralph Cifaretta said Jenny Sack had a 90-pound mole removed from her ass, and Johnny Sack wanted Ralph Cifaretta dead?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ralph gets on the phone with him and says, Johnny, I heard about it. Like, I find that abhorrent. No, I didn't say it. No, I didn't say it. And then Johnny's like talking about, what he wants in return. And then Ralph says, would an apology help? And then, Tony's telling him no apologies. And then Ralph says, look, if it'll help, I'll apologize. And then Johnny loses his mind and says, why would you apologize if you didn't do it? That's this. Why would you apologize if you didn't do it?
And that's why Cifaretta was no longer on the show.
Well, that was over a horse.
That too.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony killed Ralph because Ralph burned Pie-O-My for the insurance money.
Yeah, but it was also, Johnny
he beat that girl to death.
Yeah. But they were wanting him. They were wanting his head.
Yeah. Oh, no. Ralph had a lot.
Yeah.
A lot on his ledger.
So how did the thing with Snoop Dogg come up yesterday?
Sherry was there, and we were just telling Rotary stories because, what's her so someone asked Sherry about I forget how the conversation got there, but she was talking about Les Miles. And, it was Les Miles' last Rotary appearance. Apparently, was very dissatisfying.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't talk football. He didn't talk LSU.
No, he talked about his vacation with his in Pennsylvania with his kids, or Ohio, or something.
And then that rewound the clock back to this one time. And a lot of talk about when Rotary was at Boudreaux's.
Yeah. Gordy's the one who set all that up.
Yeah.
Gordy was in Los Angeles. Or no, there was a Snoop was coming in town to do a show. Les had been out recruiting in Los Angeles and found out about all the things Snoop was doing with his flag football teams.
It's when he did a show at LSU.
Right. And somehow or another, Gordy knew that Snoop was coming, and Gordy got in touch with Snoop's folks and told him how much Les really liked and appreciated everything Snoop was doing. And so Snoop actually put on an LSU jersey. Mr. USC football put on an LSU jersey and came into Boudreaux's, and probably 2/3 of the people had no idea who the hell he was. Yeah. I mean, personally, I knew who he was. I've never heard a single one of his songs. I couldn't tell you the name of the first Snoop song, but I knew enough to say, hey, take a picture. And Sherry was the one who had the camera, and she took the picture of me.
We were talking about Snoop last night, and my kids were like, I bet he smells like weed and disappointment. And I was like, what?
Disappointment. As much money as that dude is worth.
But they're kids. They're like, he does drugs. It's like, it's like, that's how they would, that's what they would say. You know what I mean?
Okay.
At least they were like, I bet he smells great. But it was just funny. Like, it was just a trip. I thought that was pretty.
All right, we're getting you to the forecast in just a second. Couple of quick notes on traffic. Shout out to Ray, who lets us know that something's going on Highway 44 and Highway 70. Both are dead stopped right now. So if you're down Ascension Way, you'll be on the lookout for that. All right. Meanwhile, I hope you just dropped. Oh, you just dropped something. All right. Sorry. A little accident going on. Meanwhile, John, you said a caller called in to describe what was going on 10 westbound.
Yes, apparently it was a gooseneck trailer on the far right side, but they said traffic was flowing well.
Okay. All right. So we're all up to speed now. By the way, we always appreciate the updates either on Facebook Live or call in the studio at 499-1073. You're our eyes and ears out there. You're going to get information to us in real time. And it's faster than we can get reported through all the other outlets. So greatly appreciated to both. Now, here comes your forecast with Emma Kate Cowan. .638 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time for a cup of tech gumbo. Let's roll. Yes, it is time for a cup of tech gumbo. We welcome Haggai Davis in. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Brian.
We got a lot of ground to cover today, man. I want to start off with this. Growing sentiment that AI is useless.
Yes. especially for anybody who has a smartphone,
Mhm.
which is what 99% of the world.
Pretty much. A new survey suggests the vast majority of iPhone and Samsung Galaxy users find AI useless. The more than 2,000 smartphone users were surveyed by secondhand phone marketplace Cell, and the numbers were pretty overwhelming. Like close to 73% of iPhone users and a whopping 87% of Galaxy users said useless.
Yeah, this was kind of surprising that it was that high. This last summer we did a story where over half the people in the UK had never heard of ChatGPT, much less ever used it. And this just kind of goes right along with it, in that people still don't know how to use the generative AI, the large language models. A lot of people are scared to death of it. They think it's going to, take over the world and put them out of a job and everything, as opposed to understanding that this is a tool and you have to learn to use the tool. This is just one of those things where it's going to take a while. If you go back, and we talked about it on the show, if you go back to the early 90s when the internet was first coming out,
Mhm.
it took about 10 years for people to really start, oh, there's the internet. I can get on the internet and do send an email, or I can go search for something. Oh, there can be my buddy. So this AI, the chat GPTs, the co-pilots, the Geminis, all of them, they're going to take some time for people to really understand how they should and could be using them.
Okay. Recently, well, I shouldn't say recently, but didn't we see the same thing with QR codes?
Oh, yeah.
Like it took forever for folks to adapt to QR codes. We're still not fully utilizing them.
Society it takes 10 years to adopt things.
Right.
And so for most cases, it's about a decade to adopt it. Well, we're 2.5 years into this generative AI.
Mm-hmm.
5 years from now, it's going to be a whole lot more adopted, and even 10 years and all those kinds of things. Right now, it's still people just kind of not understanding what AI is, and how the fact that they've been using it for a long time and don't know it in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
When you use a spam filter, if you use the spell check on when you're typing an email or a Word document,
right,
that's all artificial intelligence.
It's not. It doesn't help the way it's reported on either.
No,
because we're made to be afraid of it, and I mean, for that matter, science fiction movies play into this too, to where we believe that sci-fi is going to happen in real time.
Still waiting to see the Jetsons.
Right. Have you ever read up on the Jetsons?
Oh, yeah. We've had this conversation.
Oh,
before.
okay. We have. All right. About the age difference between George and Jane.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, and then when you take into account Judy's age. Side note: anybody wants to do the math on that? Take George Jetson's age, Jane Jetson's age, and Judy Jetson's age, and when you figure all that out, it's not a good picture for George. It's not a good look.
There's some controversy about Jane's actual age. There's about a 15-year discrepancy in what some people project her age to be, and others.
Really?
Yes.
Let's hope so.
Yes.
Just for George's sake. I mean, the guy gets fired every week. He doesn't need to be, behind bars for statutory as well. All right. So when it comes to AI, with the uselessness of it right now,
and especially when it comes to AI on their smartphones, was the other part of the story. And
any different?
Well, you can go to ChatGPT on your phone. You can pull up any one of the large language models on your phone, and people were even much more afraid. Over 90% of them had said they would never use the AI on their smartphones. The odd thing about this article that we found, over half the people who had bought a new iPhone within the last 6 months said having the Apple Intelligence on their smartphone was one of the reasons why they bought the phone. But they were never going to use it. But they just wanted to say that they had it.
Okay.
And because they're still afraid of it, they don't know what to do with it. And That's the biggest problem right now with artificial intelligence and in these large language models or the generative AI that can do so many different things. If you don't start playing with it, don't start understanding how you can use it as a productivity tool, you're not going to understand it.
The evolution of that adoption, it's not going to happen all at once. You said, 10 years to adopt something fully. What's that look like? Like, let's say we're 2.5 years in. What's that look like over the next 2.5 years as we make it to the halfway point for the full adoption?
Well, it again, it's one of those slow incremental things where you don't see, your best friend. If you go back and look at a picture 10 years ago and they have a full head of hair and they're bald now or mostly gray, you don't really pay attention over time. If you look at that picture with the guy up there with a lot of hair on his
We're
head,
going to talk about that during the break.
that, you don't pay attention to that slow incremental where you're using it and becoming and realizing, oh, AI can remind me to do things. It can pop up in my calendar. Hey, you've got an appointment, and or to all the different things that artificial intelligence can do when you're using it as a tool to help you. There's another story we did about the junior coders using AI.
Yeah.
The problem with that is they're not learning to code. They're just getting ChatGPT to write their code, and it does an okay job of writing the code, but it doesn't do a great job. And so, yeah, it's quick to write the code, but then they got to spend hours to go back and fix what ChatGPT didn't do great with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the problem right now is that this AI is good. It's not great.
Well, ChatGPT is writing code right now. So as that gets tighter, that means that AI will rewrite its own AI. We got to break. Take a quick break. If you're listening on air, you might want to tune in on Facebook Live because we got a story to tell during this break that involves, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, this picture over my shoulder right here. On air, traffic, your money now will continue next. Okay. Facebook Live. Can you see them?
They should be able to see.
Are we frozen?
No.
All right, let me start over. There it is. All right. Over my left shoulder, you're looking at Haggai Davis with Snoop Dogg.
2 peas in a pod.
What the hell?
This was at the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge in 2008. Les Miles was the guest speaker that day, and Les had made a couple of comments about how much he was impressed with what Snoop was doing with completely funding the football leagues there in Southern California, paying for the teams, the jerseys, the refs, the fields, the all the equipment, and producing a lot of really good athletes. And when Snoop found out about this through one Gordy Rush.
What?
Yes, Gordy was involved. Gordy was in Rush in Rotary at the time, and he had let Snoop's people know. Snoop was coming to Baton Rouge to do a show at LSU or somewhere in town. I guess I think it was LSU.
In 2008, he had already moved away from Baton Rouge at that point because he lived in CCL for a hot minute.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, like next door to Master P.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. But he was doing a show, and that's actually an LSU jersey that Snoop is wearing. He put on an LSU jersey, and this is the biggest Southern Cal football team, Southern Cal Trojans football fan that there is.
Yes.
But because Les had said so many good things about Snoop put on an LSU jersey to come in and surprise Les at the Rotary Club. And near the end of it, when Snoop was walking out, I was standing in the back, and Sherry Macbeth had a camera, and I said, "Hey, grab a photo of us real quick." And she snapped a photo of me and Snoop.
How's that not your profile picture for the rest of your life?
Well, it was for about a year. But I mean, that was also 16 years ago.
Yeah, no, I realized that. But like, you realize how much Snoop has evolved over time.
Sure.
To where, I mean, he's now like all the stuff he did with the Super Bowl,
with the Olympics.
the Olympics. narrating nature videos.
No,
This
yeah.
is the equivalent of like Ice Cube.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind
Going
of.
from, like, he was at one stage and now he's just on a whole nother level. Like,
Right.
it's
To go
just
from
like-
NWA to Are We There Yet?
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of the
That's what I
same
mean,
thing
like,
here.
kind of that
Well, but if you think about
trajectory.
same with Eddie Murphy, you know, to go from Raw and Delirious to the Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
Like,
And now Daddy Daycare.
you gotta produce the show, man. Is it on?
What, you can't hear it when my
Oh, okay.
yeah. So what it is?
I
is-
apologize.
No, you're good.
It just completely because I could hear the traffic just
Yeah.
fine.
So that's why I switched to in-ears.
Yeah.
Because it's easier than like headphones.
Yeah.
So I have it.
All right. I'm
always-
sorry. That was it just. I was like, what the?
production. It's in my ear. It's constantly like. By this point, I'm pretty much on autopilot. It's just.
Yes. All right. All right. Okay. Back to Snoop real quick.
Yeah.
All right. So, you say you couldn't name a Snoop song.
Not a single one.
Really?
All right.
Never. I've never heard it.
Not even in the 16 years since that photo.
No. I know the Rapper's Delight from the Sugar Hill Gang from 1979,
Nice. Yeah.
and
Awesome.
I don't know if you. Maybe there's another rap song I might know the name of somewhere.
Yeah.
but
yeah.
Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna name 3 songs. I want you to tell me which one is not the Snoop song. Okay. All right. Drop It Like It's Hot. Gin and Juice. Hotel Room Service.
Hotel Room Service.
Nailed it. That's Pitbull. You got the first
There
one
you
right.
go.
See, you know your Snoop.
Yeah, you got
I'm gonna pretend like you don't know your Snoop. You know your Snoop. All right, let's do one more. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Young, Wild, and Free. Make sure my mic's not on yet. Bitch, please. Or fuck the police.
You had to throw in the last one.
Go with the last one.
You're right again. That's the last one. That was NWA. Which was in my head because he mentioned Ice Cube. All right. Coming back. 652 Talk 107.3 FM. WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Cup of Tech Gumbo rolling right along. We got Haggai Davis in with us for a couple more minutes. If you're watching during the break there, Haggai got the chance to meet Snoop at a Rotary Club meeting, which in hindsight, that would be like, that's the most Haggai way to meet Snoop possible.
Yeah. 16 years ago.
That's 2008. And you meet Snoop at the Rotary Club.
Yep.
All right. All right, let's dive back in. We got to stay on topic. Keep this on the rails a little bit. There was a story in here that, here we go. This one caught my eye because this is something I do all the time. Why you should never, ever delete spam email.
Oh, this was a great story. And the idea is you want to train your inbox, or if you use Gmail, do not delete spam, mark it as spam, move it to your junk folder, train your inbox to know what is spam. And the more you do that, and then don't delete it, just move it to your spam folder. Your spam folder will get rid of it after about 30 days or so. But if you see something that's coming, you get over and over. Every time you just delete something, you're not training your inbox.
Mm-hmm.
If you use Microsoft Outlook, especially, when you see something it's spam, drag it over to the junk folder. If you want, you can right click over the top of it and create a rule so that anytime you get an email from this sender, move it straight to your junk folder, or junk folder, spam folder, whatever you're naming it. It will, over time, start to understand, oh, this is junk. This doesn't go in the inbox.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, I created a folder called unsubscribe in my inbox. And I created a rule. Any email that has the option to unsubscribe in it, that email goes straight to the unsubscribe folder, which is where most of the junk is.
Okay.
And so what is in my inbox is emails that I'm actually interested in. That all the solicitations and all the crap that nobody really wants, that goes to a whole separate folder automatically.
When an email gives you the option to unsubscribe, why wouldn't you just unsubscribe?
Because you're telling the people who generated that email, there's somebody out there who sees this, who saw this, and bothered to take action on this email. When you click on unsubscribe, you're never going to actually unsubscribe. All you're doing is telling them, hey, there's somebody out here who read this email, send them more.
Okay.
Because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for eyeballs. All of the software, the double clicks, and all of the things that Google and all the other social media platforms have put out there, they know, oh, you opened that email, you clicked on it, we're going to send you that many more just like it. So if you just grab it and drag it straight over to the junk folder, to the spam folder, whatever you want to call it, and teach your inbox to do this, you will be stunned at how few emails that you don't want to see show up in the inbox.
Conversely, I oftentimes get emails directed to my junk folder that I don't want them in my junk folder.
And that's why you do need to go over there and look every now and then to make sure if you're expecting something, go check your junk, go check the spam folder to make sure something didn't get in there automatically.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it's in there, you might have to right click over it and whitelist it so that it does come back.
I give you a perfect example. Okay. I'm a member of the Mathern's rewards program, which means I get a weekly email from Mathern's. Now my email tends to think that that's junk. I want the information that's in there, but I guess I don't know the way it's formatted or whatever. It ends up in my junk email folder. Now I've had to go back a couple of times and, right click and it says report, and I reported it as not junk, and it moves it into my inbox. And then a couple weeks later, it'll be right back in my junk. The fresh one will be in my junk folder.
So what's happening is it's looking at that email, and it not to pick on Mathern, but let's just say if they were sending those emails through a distribution email company that is pure a marketing thing, and your inbox is trying to take care of you, and it's trying to say, look, this is just another one of those solicitation emails. Do you really want this? And it's moving it over there. You can, if you whitelist anything from matherns.com, it should not be going to your inbox unless there is so much in there in that email that it's egregious to the point of, this is spam, dude. That may not be an actual email from Mathern's. It may be phishing email that looks like it's from Mathern's.
Right. Yep.
And so you have to be really careful about those types of emails, because just because it looks like it's from Mathern's, says all the right things, it may not actually be from Mathern's, and your inbox can see those things for you and know in advance.
What else on the show this week?
We're going to talk a lot about Apple, how they've not going to release the Apple Intelligence. It's apparently hard to do. And despite all of the commercials we saw last year during football season and Christmas season and everything that the Apple marketing department talked about, apparently nobody in the Apple engineering department told anybody in the marketing department, hey, this is hard. And this is going to take us at least 1, maybe 2 more years to fully release.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He's Haggai Davis. We do a cup of tech gumbo at this time every week, and you get your full serving weekends right here on Talk 107.3 FM, or just wherever you get your podcasts, you will find Tech Gumbo if you search up Tech Gumbo. Stick around. We're going to talk during the news. We got another story coming in.
You bet.
We're going to go back to. All right. If you're not watching us on Facebook Live, you might want to check in over there. I got to give a shout out to Cheryl, who just sent me a message that is hilarious. It's going to take us back to the AI story in just a second. We'll do that during news. Meanwhile, on the air, it's just about time to hit up ABC News. For the top of the hour, we'll hit traffic. We'll hit weather. Hour 2 will be coming up next. In hour 2, Congresswoman Julia Letlow going to be on the hotline at 7:15. Little DC Current presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. That'll be right after Top Stories and Trending, which is presented by the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Crimestoppers is coming up next hour as well. Right now, let's go ahead and hit the news. It's 7 o'clock at Talk 107.3 FM. What?
I'm just looking at what Byron posted.
Oh, I'll get back over there for Byron in a second. Cheryl sent me a Facebook message. It says, I searched for best diets for hens laying and sitting on eggs. This is part of what AI returned. Mama hen's diet. The hen will also need a high quality diet to maintain her health and produce enough milk for her chicks. Continue to feed the hen a good quality layer feed or grower feed, depending on her age and stage of production. You can also supplement her diet with fresh vegetables, fruits, and insects. Milk?
Yeah, that's
Milk?
that's one of those AI hallucinations. That's why AI is good. It's not great. And so if she did that on ChatGPT, that would be interesting to ask that same question. Go to Google Gemini. Go to Microsoft Copilot. Go to Meta's. Everybody's got a different LLM.
Right.
Ask that same question multiple times to the different AIs and see what kind of how varied the answers are.
Okay. The part of this that I can't get past is AI had to learn this from somewhere, didn't it? Or does it just not know the difference between something being hatched and something being born?
AI is strictly guessing the next word. That's all that it does.
Right.
And so it has been spanning the internet looking for all kinds of information. Sometimes it finds the onion, which is satirical.
Yes.
And sometimes it finds real information, the U.S. agricultural website. And it doesn't always know the difference. And that's why last summer you had Google Gemini's telling you to use glue to hold the pepperoni on your pizza and things like that.
I want to create a website or a stack of websites that feeds this.
Oh, they're out there.
That like
there's millions and millions of satirical websites
that talks about your chicken's nipples.
Sure. And so when you garbage in is garbage out. And so when you have these generative AIs that are just scanning and looking in and taking in all this information, if it takes in bad information, it retains that knowledge.
Right.
And knows, hey, you're asking about chickens, and I think chickens have lips. And, you know, if I post out a big, long article about my chickens have lips and nipples and produce cow milk, the AI is going to read that. And if somebody asks, hey, what can I put lipstick on my chicken's lips? It's going to know, hey, I wrote an article about it and might feed you that information from my website.
Well, shout out to Cheryl for sending that in.
Yeah.
That's hilarious to me.
I think this is why you can't just use ChatGPT to write your papers in college or high school, because it does stupid things like that.
Yes.
You've got to ask it for help, give you some suggestions, but then you've got to go back and make sure that it's right. Yeah. It's a tool. It's there to assist you, not to do everything for you.
Right.
And so Cheryl's smart enough to know that chickens don't have lips and don't produce milk.
Right.
So she's thinking, but if she had just said, hey, generate this paper, I got to turn in a biology paper, and just submitted it, Cheryl's not going to get a good grade here.
Exactly.
So, or if she's got to turn this into her boss, the boss is going to call her in and say, okay, what the hell?
But it goes back to the point of, this is probably why people think AI is useless.
Exactly.
So,
and if you have ever used it, like the opening of our show, I asked ChatGPT to give me a 60-second open, and it typed out a great 60 seconds. I had to tweak it a little bit. It wasn't perfect, but once I put my spin on what it had generated, it was great. But you've got to do that. I asked it to write a bio on me, and Yeah, I had to go back and make some changes. Snoop wasn't in it, unfortunately, but I need to check my bio kind of thing.
You got to put Snoop back in it. Snoop should be in your bio. Appreciate you, Haggai.
Yeah.
.705 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Brian here with you, John LaBeouf producing. We are starting your second hour off at 62 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We got DC Current presented by LABI coming your way in 10 minutes from right now. Congresswoman Julia Letlow. I know we don't usually do DC Current on a Thursday. She's on Wednesdays, but she had to miss last week because it was the morning after the State of the Union, and she was actually in the White House at the time, and didn't want to miss 2 weeks in a row when she had travel plans for yesterday or had a conflict in her schedule yesterday. So she said, "Do you have another segment that I can come on?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we got Congresswoman Julia Letlow coming your way, and in 10 minutes, we got Lieutenant Don Capola coming by for Crimestoppers at 7:35. Right now, though, folks at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport bring you top stories and trending.
Number 5.
An unloaded gun was found in a Capitol Middle School student's backpack on Wednesday. 2 students were booked into the Juvenile Detention Center. East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office said there's a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old booked for illegal carrying of a firearm on school property and illegal possession of a handgun by a juvenile.
Number 4.
Louisiana Board of Elementary and Secondary Education said it will turn control of 2 Baker schools that received 4 consecutive F ratings over to a charter company after the local school board voted to close both schools back in February. Bessie's School Innovation and Turnaround Committee voted 9-1 on Tuesday to have Baker Heights Elementary and Baker Middle Schools taken over by Geo Academies.
Number 3.
State Education Department, while we're talking about Bessie, has updated their curriculum to reflect President Donald Trump's name change of the Gulf. On Wednesday, Bessie unanimously approved a change to the state's social studies standards to rename the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America for the upcoming school year.
Number 2.
The annual Wearing of the Green Parade has been rescheduled due to an inclement weather forecast for Saturday. The parade was scheduled to roll Saturday at 10 a.m., as it always does. But due to rain in the forecast, the time has been shifted, and the parade will now start on Sunday at noon.
Number 1.
No resolution on the Brave Cave settlements just yet. Metro Council met last night. They failed to get it across the finish line, to be sure. And there was a lot of executive session, a lot of angst, a lot of protesting going on ahead of time, during, and after. So it's still open-ended at this point.
Well, new data suggests that notable deceleration in the U.S. inflation rate, potentially offering some relief to both consumers and policymakers. So,
yes, I'm here for it.
Yeah,
having inflation drops means that I can have a chance to get caught up a little bit, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't
absolutely.
necessarily mean that things are going to cost less. It's just they're not going to be costing more. So I get a little bit of time there.
That's
and then
it.
yesterday we learned that egg prices are about to start dropping again too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Unfortunate news here. Louisiana is now part of Tornado Alley. Recent studies show a shift in activity that brings the region into the southeast.
Well, let's be very clear. This does not mean more tornadoes for us.
Yeah.
It just means they're
that-
renaming to match what's already there.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, we don't go a storm like the number of times we see storms. Just hell, last week they had two tornadoes. And to be clear, the tornado alley part of this, parts of northern Louisiana are in the red zone. Where we're at right now, we're in the yellow.
Oh.
So it's just I saw the headline, and then I actually saw it on Twitter last night, and I'm like, why are people posting about tornadoes when there's nothing going on? But anyway, it changes our nomenclature. It changes what we're, what we're calling it. We've
Right.
already been experiencing it, to be sure.
Oh, for sure. Hey, the Philadelphia Eagles have made it official. They will visit the White House after their Super Bowl win.
I wonder if
Good.
Kellen Moore gets to go.
Yeah.
I mean, he was part of the team, right?
I mean, yeah.
And now that he's
I
with the
wonder-
Saints, it's like, which organization are you with now? Who you rolling with?
Yeah.
You got to flush everything green to don the black and gold. Do
Huh.
you even get to go back to the White House?
Guess
Oh.
time will tell, right?
Yeah, I hope he does.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a once in a
Will you
lifetime
think of him any other
opportunity.
way? Yeah. Would you
know.
think of him any differently? Yeah.
No.
You did?
No, not at all. Not at all. You earned that.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, it has nothing to do with who's in the White House at any particular time. It's bigger than that.
Absolutely. Yes, it
Be
is.
bigger than that for sure. 710 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We got a break coming up in just a minute. After that break, we're going to visit with Congresswoman Julia Letlow. We got a lot of ground to make up here because we haven't had her on in 2 weeks. Last week, she was supposed to be on the day after the State of the Union. And I know it was the address to the joint session of Congress. It wasn't an actual State of the Union. Same speech, whatever. But she, at the same time, had to be in a meeting in the White House. I think you can skip the show for a meeting in the White House. It's kind of a big deal, right? What went down at that meeting and what's she been up to? And what's the latest on the budget talks or the continuing resolution talks? Where are we at right now as far as the possible shutdown's concerned? We'll break down all of that with Congresswoman Julia Letlow coming up about 4 minutes from right now. Before we get you to that break, got to remind you about the folks over at Vex European, VEX, Vex European, V as in Vinny. If you drive a European vehicle, you've made an investment into performance and longevity, right? You know what you want out of your car, and you know you want to get the most out of your car for as long as you possibly can. That's what Vinny and his team does. They specialize in European vehicles. And when you go to vexeuropean.com and hit that little drop-down tab that says vehicles, see if your make is on there. If so, they've got somebody for you, for your make of vehicles. By the way, while you're at vexeuropean.com, scroll over that specials tab. See if we can't save you $100 on your first visit. Where are you going to find them in real life? In Industrialplex, Benefit Drive. But I would start by making your appointment at vexeuropean.com. Yeah. That was one commercial. I know it's not on you. I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying that's a scheduling issue.
Yeah. Have we used the DC current?
Nope.
We haven't, have we?
We have not.
Huh. We are going to use it today, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
boop, 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 boop. $7:14 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're waiting on Congresswoman Julia Letlow to hop on the hotline. She should be on anytime now. In fact, that's her ringing in right now. Over on Facebook Live, I want your feedback on this. Bessie decided to adopt the Gulf of America as part of the new curriculum. So for 2025 to 2026 school year, that will be there will be no more Gulf of Mexico as part of the curriculum. It will now be the Gulf of America. Sound off over on Facebook Live. How long do you think it's going to take us to adapt to that? I mean, I still call them the San Diego Chargers. You know where I'm going with this. It's going to be a minute, right? All right. It is. You know what? It's time for DC Current. You check them out at labi.org. And right now, we welcome back to the show Congresswoman Julia Letlow. How are you this morning?
Hey, Brian, I am good. It's good to be back in Louisiana.
So you're home right now?
Yes. So we passed the CR and we're able to do our job, send it over to the Senate, see what they're going to do, and they sent us home.
What are they going to do?
Yeah. That's what everyone's reading about this morning, trying to figure out. It's really up to the Democrats to decide if they're going to move forward, which is the right thing to do, pass the CR, or shut the government down. But either way, it's on them.
Walk me through the process of getting the CR passed on the House side. I mean, is it the news that's reported on it makes it sound unbelievably partisan. I mean, just a straight party line. The process of getting this done looked like what from the inside?
Well, I'm sure it was a bit nerve-wracking for leadership because, our majority is so thin. But and a lot of my colleagues, firmly believe that you should never vote for a continuing resolution. As I sit as an appropriator, I do not love continuing resolutions either. We should be passing our budget bills and doing it the proper way. But sometimes, your hands are tied and you have to keep the government going, especially when you have a majority that is that thin. Some people just will not pass those budget bills for certain reasons. So the process isn't pretty. To show you how the sausage is made, it's pretty tough. I have a lot of admiration for leadership, but they pushed it through. I know the president made a few personal phone calls, and we were able to get it through. And what I don't understand, Brian, is how my colleagues on the other side of the aisle couldn't vote for a clean CR, meaning that it's just a continuation of the spending levels, and so there weren't any poison pills, as we like to call them, in there. No trickery. We plussed up dollars for defense because we have to be able to defend our nation. But so I don't understand why we couldn't get Democrat votes as well. But we got it across the finish line, and our military is still going to be paid, and we're still going to be able to go to work every day.
Procedurally, and I promise I'm going somewhere with this. When did y'all get your hands on it to actually read it, break it down, and see what was in it?
Yeah, so we have a 72-hour rule. The Republicans set that up at the beginning of the conference, and so we got it on Saturday, and it was only 100 pages. So my staff and me were able to comb through it. They asked us to do that, see if there's any issues that we had with it personally. Again, they called it a clean CR, so there really wasn't anything in there that was too scary to look at. Right. And so that's enough time usually for us to get through a bill. So, yep, procedurally 72 hours.
Okay, and you got it on Saturday. Do these things leak out ahead of time? Because the news coverage on Friday was talking about all the dangerous cuts to vital programs that Republicans are making in the new CR. And I'm left here baffled by the timeline, wondering how could you tell me about all the cuts on Friday for something that wasn't released until Saturday?
Yeah, that's absolutely fake news, and that's we talk about it. There's a lot of fear mongering going on. I don't want to be too negative, but the other side was saying that there was all these cuts to our veterans, and it's just a lot of fear mongering. None of that was true at all. And it was all building up to the fake news, and then the bill comes out on Saturday, and wow, none of that's in there. So shocker.
We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow with us. This is DC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. You can learn more about your state's Chamber of Commerce at labi.org. All right, Congresswoman, we got to rewind the clock back by a little over a week. Take us back to the State of the Union, or the address to the joint session of Congress, as it wasn't the quote-unquote official State of the Union. Walk me through a little bit about that night and then the following morning.
Yes. Wow. What an incredible night. It was, I always pinch myself when I'm in that chamber, and especially at joint sessions or State of the Unions. They're so incredibly special. So I don't know how it happened, but I was able to procure a seat right there on the aisle. So was able to shake the president's hand and share a special moment with him. So it was just one of those memories I'll keep locked in for the rest of my life. But yes, he of course gave a rousing speech, as I'm sure you talked about the next day, but it was very long, but entertaining to say the least. And I so many things that he said resonated with all of us. And I think my legs were a little sore from standing up and clapping so many times, but it was a really special night. And then I'm so sorry I had to cancel last week, but when the White House calls you and says that you need to be in a meeting the next morning, then you wake up early and you go. And that was a really neat experience as well. They called some of us who are on appropriations in to talk about ideas for how to get our budget across the finish line, and how to really start ramping up for the next year to make sure that the president's agenda gets through. So, I really appreciate that the White House is bringing us in incrementally to talk about how we can work together to actually get his agenda done, and ours as well in Congress. So it really is a partnership that they're fostering with all of us. So that was awesome too. It was incredible. It was just an incredible week, Brian.
Okay, we're going to get back to the partnership part in just a minute, but let's stick with the speech for just a second.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know why this never occurred to me, but you said you had to grab a seat, and I'm like, but you're in Congress. You don't just get your own seat, right? You're not like, no, I normally sit over there, guys. Like on a normal day, on a normal work day, you're in my seat. Like that's not how that plays.
No, it is. I mean, it's vicious as far as scoping out your seat for that day. But I had a friend of mine who actually got into the chamber at around 9 a.m. that morning and saved a seat for us. And it was pretty awesome to be able to be that close to the aisle. But yeah, it's kind of like high school, Brian. I mean, everybody kind of has their own place where they sit. Now on the Senate side, you do have assigned seating where you have your own chair. But in the House, it's just kind of the wild, wild west. And we all go in there. We're thrown in there together, and you kind of claim your where you usually hang out. But for the State of the Union, it's no rules. Everybody's vying for a seat to where they can actually see him and enjoy the speech.
All right. So I might be making a stretch here, but you had to pick your spot along the route on Mardi Gras Day.
Yes, that's it. Perfect analogy.
There it is. All right. We got Congresswoman Julia Letlow with us for DC Current, presented by LABI. Speaking of being close to the show, how close were you to Al Green and his cane?
Get very close. That was wild. Oh my goodness. And that's the sad part to me is I've been to, I guess this is my fourth State of the Union, and it's just there's so much reverence, and you should, and at most everyone is reverent, but this year it just seemed a bit different, and it kind of broke my heart that we have decorum in the House, and we have rules, and you're not supposed to hold up signs and scream and shout, and I know our side is guilty of it as well, but I have so much respect for the institution, and I wish people would respect it.
Well, our side is guilty of it as well, but I mean,
Right.
it's this. He pressed. It wasn't just an outburst. It was continued. So, Congresswoman, honestly, if I were sitting where you were sitting on that night, I think I might have been egging him on, just for the show. Get him out.
Well, there was some of that. Just sometimes you're sitting there and we're all middle aged, if not older, and I'm thinking to myself, we are acting like children in this chamber, and that is just so disrespectful. So I hope for better days.
Yeah, I think we all do, to be sure.
Yeah.
All right, now fast forward back to that next morning, working with the White House. What's that collaboration like? Are they seeking information from y'all? Are they pitching their ideas and looking to hear your feedback? Walk me through a little bit of the making of the sausage on that front.
Yeah, so that is absolutely awesome. I think I told you early on. I've never been called to the White House to share ideas. This is the first time that is happening, and so they bring us in as groups, and they have their whole team there, and we just really hash through. Okay, what's it like on the appropriation side? What are y'all talking about? What ideas do you have? What concerns do you have? And so it's just really a back and forth, and it's just probably mostly about building relationships and building trust with one another. Mm-hmm. And that's music to my ears, and that's really how adults get things done. So it was encouraging to me to be invited to that meeting and be able to share thoughts and ideas about how we not only keep the government going, but can be proactive this next coming year on getting our appropriations bills on the floor across the finish line in a timely manner. So that's our goal.
Congresswoman Julia Letlow with us for a couple more minutes. All right, Social Security Fairness Act. Let's talk about that a little bit and its implementation.
Gosh, Brian, I am so thrilled about this. I know we've talked about it a lot, but and it was my number one issue. It was the number one thing I heard about from all of my constituents. Payments have already started to be dispersed. If you're set up for direct deposit, or you have made sure that you have the correct mailing address with the Social Security Administration, you don't need to worry about anything. That those payments will automatically come to you. And I've been receiving so many texts and phone calls of people who are receiving those retroactive payments from January, but also moving forward, receiving those payments. And it was the honor of a lifetime to work with Congressman Garrett Graves and Abigail Spanberger to get this across the finish line. It happened right around Christmas. It was the best Christmas present ever. But truly, Brian, people come up to me and with tears in their eyes talking about being able to put food on the table now. And it's just, it's been an incredible journey. And I'm so, so grateful that we saw it all the way through. And I was telling my parents, I told my mom, I said, if we do accomplish one thing in Congress, this would be it. And I would be good with that. And so when we did it, it's awesome. I can't believe it. It's quite the blessing for a lot of people.
And as I understand it, there's a new chapter to this book as well, or an epilogue, I guess, where there's going to be a retroactive payment too.
Yeah. So retroactive payments back through January. So people are going to receive
of
quite
last
a bit.
Year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So people are going to receive quite a bit of retroactive payment right at first, which is going to be music to a lot of people's ears. So I'm just really, really grateful. I have a grateful heart today.
Last one before we get you out of here. What are you doing while you're in town?
Oh goodness! So today I'm headed over to Denham Springs to talk to a 7th grade group about political science, and just going to be making the rounds and make sure that we're working the district, and but also spending a little time with the kiddos. And I am excited about the St. Patty's Day parade on Sunday.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be at this one. All right.
I am.
Yeah. I'll be down in Metairie for that one. I march down there. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. In the meanwhile, how long are you in for before you have to go back?
So we have a week in our district. So I'll be around all 21 parishes next week. So I hope run into quite a few of my constituents along the way.
She is Congresswoman Julia Letlow. I greatly appreciate you hitting that makeup date today. As it's not the normal schedule, but the flexibility is very, very much appreciated on my end.
Oh, same here, Brian. It's always so great to be with you. Have a wonderful weekend.
You do the same. Congresswoman Julia Letlow, SDC Current, presented by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry. You can learn more about them at labi.org. Well, we'll be talking to lobby a lot in the coming weeks because we are right at a month and a day until the legislative session. We visit with Will Green from Lobby every Monday, and there's just so much to break down before things are gavelled in and go wild. All right, we got news, traffic, weather. Don Capola's next. That was her best segment yet. Yeah, I have to learn how to like with Troy Carter. I try to find the issues that we agree on, so that the conversation can move forward. With Garrett Graves, I was spoiled with Garrett because he's a total policy wonk. He could deep dive into it.
Right.
I'm getting there with Julia to where I'm kind of starting to understand like what makes her more conversational, rather than giving me a 3-sentence soundbite as an answer. Which, if you're in Congress, you get used to doing that, because that's what's going to fly in the paper. That's what's going to fly in the news segment. This is longer form. It's like adapting to how to make sure 13 minutes worth of airtime is enjoyable. It's entertaining and informative. And yes, this was her best one yet. Don's gonna be on the phone today.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. Traffic is horrible. Where the hell are the tracks?
studio.
There's the tracks. This chair's killing me. I'm relatively certain it's because of this chair that my back's been acting up lately. It wobbles, and I have to have my back like engaged to sit here. I'm definitely not gonna make other people sit here. All right, you already know the wearing of the green has been moved due to the forecast, so let's hear the forecast. Here's a McCade Cowan. Seven 7:38. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. It is a mess out there, y'all. Traffic is backed up everywhere. Nope. I shouldn't say everywhere. You got elbow room on Florida Boulevard right now. Both interstates are looking awful right now. Blue Bonnet's looking awful. Jefferson's looking awful. Perkins looking awful. And it's because the traffic is so awful that Don Capola is going to be on the hotline. It's time for Crimestoppers. Joining us on the hotline right now is Lieutenant Don Capola. It is time for Crimestoppers. How are you, man?
Hey, good morning, Brian. How are you?
I am well. So you're stuck in traffic?
It's a mess. It's a mess. So I just decided to instead of rushing and making matters worse by getting involved in an accident, I just decided to divert, pull over, and call in.
Fair enough.
And with that being said, we want to remind the motorists out there that the interstate, I-10 is slow in both directions, along with other roadways. So just take your time. Don't rush. Place a call ahead of your destination, wherever it may be, and just say, hey, I'm going to be a little late. And I'm sure they'll understand. The last thing we want is for you to be in an accident and injure yourself or someone else.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. It's the right call. It's the right call. And it doesn't stop us from doing what we need to do here during the segment, which is hopefully catching some bad guys. So should we dive in?
Let's dive in. We're going to start with an individual who we have mentioned before, Aletha Woods, 49 years old, wanted by the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office on the charge of felony theft. Aletha has been targeting retail stores all over East Baton Rouge Parish. The first of this year into last year, 2024. And she goes in and helps herself and makes no attempt to pay for the items. So as the last count I had was around $5,000 worth of stolen merchandise.
Okay.
Aletha had been on our Facebook page, and you will see her again. It was made mention that she was working with investigators, but failed to follow her end of the bargain by turning herself in, and even made mention that she has seen herself on Crimestoppers.
Oh.
Well, she may see herself again on Crimestoppers very soon.
Yep. What
Now,
kind of
if she's seeing herself, other people are seeing her.
Sure.
Who may know her location. And again, Crimestoppers is anonymous, so she won't know. But we need to get Aletha off the streets and into the hands of detectives.
All right. If I'm remembering this one right, Don, and I think I am, Aletha Woods was one of two who were wanted for the same crime spree, right? For the same robbery
One of
spree.
two, correct. The other individual has been apprehended.
Okay.
I believe they are still incarcerated at this time. So investigators are still looking for Aletha, and she hasn't stopped these acts. But it's now time for somebody to call in with her whereabouts, so investigators can deal with her accordingly.
Now, retail covers a lot of ground. But to be more specific, if I'm not mistaken, when the story ran last time, I want to say she was hitting Home Depots.
Home Depots, other retail stores. It's a long list, Brian.
Okay.
And this is something that, even though you think, oh, I was on Crimestoppers, I'm gonna sit tight and let this pass. Well, this isn't going to pass. What's done is done, and this goes, not only for Aletha but any other fugitive we talk about. Just because we may not catch you now, eventually we will as time goes on.
We got Lieutenant Don Capola with us for Crimestoppers. 344-STOP is the phone number. 344-7867. If you want to check out some of the photos that they've got up there of folks that they're looking for, it's crimestoppersbr.com. Crimestoppersbr.com is the website. I bump around the Facebook page a little bit because you get some fresher information from time to time, to be sure. Don, who else are we looking for?
Baton Rouge police are looking for a Ron McGee on the charge of domestic abuse, aggravated assault. Investigators believe that McGee, 64 years old, had an altercation with a female acquaintance, had actually cut her with a knife. This is something that investigators believe is an ongoing issue involving him. The victim had to seek medical attention as far as some stitches, so nothing major. But Brian, again, domestic violence is something we talk about almost every week
Yeah.
And it is serious and it is real, and it's something that we need to get a hand on. And so, if anybody knows Ron McGee or the whereabouts of Ron McGee, 64 years old, wanted on domestic abuse, aggravated assault charges.
Yeah. I'm looking at his picture right here on Crimestoppers' website. Crimestoppers225.com. He's the first one up on the website. He's the first picture you're going to see right there. 5'8", 185. It says hair black, but he's got a shaved head. Don, we talk about domestic violence, like you said, just about every week, and it doesn't seem to, like, you know how sometimes when you talk about something too much, you become immune to it, you become desensitized to it.
Yes.
That's just not the case with this, and
That's not the case with this. No, Brian, and a verbal abuse. Okay, that's domestic violence, and a lot of times the verbal turns into the physical. And as we mentioned, and if you see a coworker, if you see a friend, be the one that asks these questions, because a lot of times they may not open up. So be the one that asks these questions and be that friend, just to make sure that they are okay. And if not, there's resources that can help them to get to the point of them feeling safe.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, we give out the phone number all the time, and we talk about the P3 Tips app all the time. But when you're on Crimestoppers225.com and you're looking at the pictures, you can submit a tip right there on the website.
Right there off the website.
The little tab is immediately below the picture. Anybody else we're looking for today?
Jonathan Jackson. Jonathan Jackson, 25 years old, wanted by the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office on the charges of domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment. Investigators believe that he and a female acquaintance were in a verbal argument that escalated to a physical altercation very quickly. Believe that he struck the victim with a closed fist multiple times in the back of the head.
Oh, no.
Started banging her head against the wall, grabbing her hair, something that no one needs to be a part of. He was able to escape, contact law enforcement. So Jonathan Jackson, 25 years old, wanted by the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office on domestic abuse, battery, child endangerment charges.
Yeah, that child endangerment charge into the mix there, and you wonder about what the rest of the story is on that front. When we talk about the domestic abuse ones, it's not just about the couple that's in the fight. There's innocent bystanders involved as well.
And those actions that they see can stay with them for a long time.
Yep.
And so check out the website, crimestoppers225.com, our Facebook page. On our Facebook page, Baton Rouge Police are looking to identify an armed robbery suspect. Pictures are great. Occurred earlier in February in the parking lot of 6200 block of Airline Highway, Cousins Food Mart.
This you're talking about over the Facebook page, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The first post.
Yeah, I saw that. There's a stack of good pictures on it. Was 5 of them. With the gun drawn and everything, if I'm looking at the right one.
Stack of pictures, and then West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office is looking for an individual, a suspect in a theft by fraud investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So scroll down and see if you can help us out. And I want to remind the listeners too of our first 48 regarding our homicide investigations with the increased rewards. So if there's any information, pick up the phone and contact Crimestoppers and know that you will remain anonymous and you're doing the right thing.
And that's a 344-STOP is the main phone number right there, 344-STOP. He is Lieutenant Don Capola. We always appreciate the time, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're coming up on 750 at Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Don't forget, Talk 107.3 FM is your home for LSU women's basketball. You got Selection Sunday coming up, which means next week We will be in tournament mode for sure right here on Talk 107.3 FM as Kim Mulkey takes her Tigers to the big dance. Ooh. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm contagious with it. I'm contagious with it. Working LSU basketball last night. I got home about 9:30, and yesterday was just a dog shit of a day. So I poured myself a drink when I get home. I shouldn't start a drink at 9:30 at night. Like if I have it, if I'm home at a normal hour and I have a drink, I'm fine because I'm done with it by 9:30. But oh, vodka martini. Ooh. Ooh. But yeah, I started prepping the show at like 10:30. Got to bed just before midnight. And there's just one of those nights where you just stare at the ceiling. Can I put in a request for some music during the segment? Like do the normal bumper.
Mhm.
And once we get into the topic,
How many
I
times
want
you hear that as a DJ?
what?
Can I get a request?
Oh yeah. Uh Holiday Road by Lindsey Buckingham. No. Oh, do I want Holiday Road or do I want Eastbound and Down by Jerry Reed? I'm torn.
Because of the RV thing.
Yeah. Do Lindsey Buckingham.
Okay. All right, so regular bumper, right? And then you'll just
Regular bumper, and then we'll do the story with the sound bites, and then I'll open up for Lindsey Buckingham.
Gotcha.
The Griswolds. I'm digging that, John. Who is that?
Oh man,
It sounds like it almost made the cut for the Four Tops. That's the fifth top.
yeah, and it's a newer song. I forget the name of it. I'm
A
sorry.
little bit of funk, a little bit of Motown sound to it, though.
Yeah,
I'm digging that. All right. 7:55. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Rolling might be a pun here as we get to our next story. You heard it from our news partners at Louisiana Radio Network. RV enthusiasts will soon have an easier time enjoying Davis State Park in North Louisiana. State Parks Director Brandon Burris says work is underway to enhance all 72 RV sites within the park.
Our entire campground will have complete full sewage hookups and upgraded 50 amp electrical service to allow for us to efficiently deliver power to some of these brand new gigantic RV rigs that are coming to our state park system right now.
So Burris says those electrical and sewage hookups will have a huge benefit for RVers.
You can directly connect your utilities to the services there at each campsite, and what it allows you to do is you don't have to move.
Well, that's nice. He also says that by not having to move, RVers can spend more time enjoying the park and less time having to do some of those nasty RV chores.
You can stay there for a longer time, enjoy your time, but you don't have to worry about unpacking, going to a dump station, and discharging your gray water and black water. You have all of it right there on the site.
So work should be all done by this fall, weather permitting. John, are you an RV guy? I mean, I think we're both still a little bit too young to be on the RV guy list.
I feel like I want to be though.
But you're not on.
I feel like I want to be though.
See, I'm torn.
I pass by the RV place every day, and I'm like, you know what?
On the one side,
Maybe the wife and I.
Yeah. On the one side, there's that want to hit the road. You know?
Yeah.
Get out on the highway. Stretch it out a little bit. Get behind the wheel. Load the tribe up in the old family truckster. Hit up Wally World. You know? And there's a part of me that wants to get out in an RV and explore. And we have so many great RV dealerships around here.
Right.
It's like if you're driving down I-12, what's that strawberry place down there by Ponchatoula?
Yeah.
Strawberry Land, I think it's called. You drive past the RV, you got Miller's here in town.
Exactly.
You drive past an RV and it just looks cool. And I know how old I sound when I say an RV looks cool.
It sounds like freedom though, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Like you see someone driving an RV, you're like, you know what?
It does. I know. I'm almost on board with the RV, and there's the appeal of the open road.
Yeah.
And just cruising wherever you want to go, not constrained to to anybody's timetable but your own. I get that. I understand all that. But then I hear a story like this, and I got to hook up the Dookie lines. I don't. It's. There's the one side that wants the open road, and then there's the other side that has Cousin Eddie in the driveway emptying his toilet into the sewer system.
Right.
Like, I don't want to have to hook up. I don't want to drain my own Dookie. I really enjoy the appeal of having an apartment on wheels. I really do. But you know what else I enjoy? Hilton rewards. I really like the idea of hitting the open road with nothing but the skyline in front of me. Nothing but America out there. Let's go Route 66, baby.
Yeah.
I really love that. You know what else I really love? A king-size bed and a hot breakfast.
Yeah.
You can feel 2 burners right there and nothing spills. I understand all that.
Yeah. And the shower, right?
The
tiny shower.
Yeah, I need to shower like I'm in a coffin. Did I just really talk myself out of the RV right there? We kind of went full circle.
Hey, let's hear from like the Facebook crew. Like anyone RVing like out there? Like what's
Yeah, sound off. Are you is the RVing as hyped as it should be? Is it where it needs to be? I feel like we should partner with somebody to do a test drive.
Hey, that would be cool.
Right? Like take the show on the road somewhere.
Yeah, dude, like
All right. Hour 3's next. All right.
Broadcast from the back.
Hey!
Hey. There we go.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Sound like Robin Williams, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Always
yeah.
want to do that on the radio. Good morning, Louisiana.
Yep. And speaking of Robin Williams, see the RV reference. He had a movie called RV.
Really?
Yeah. So we were talking about RV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were talking about RVs in our last segment.
Yes.
Jimmy Davis Park is upgrading all their facilities.
Well, good. We
To
have
where-
a huge park, Indian Creek, over 150 campsites.
Mm-hmm.
Sits on 10,000 acres.
It's
You can even glamp in your RV.
you told me about Indian Creek.
Woodworth, Louisiana.
But not from the it's kind of Rapides Parish.
It is in, I think so. I think that's where it would be. Woodworth, Alexandria.
Yeah.
Woodworth, Louisiana.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's got a huge lake, 2,400 acre lake.
But I thought you were telling me about the cabins.
Well, we want to build cabins.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But we have primitive camping. We have RV camping and trailer camping. There's a lake, and Wildlife and Fisheries happens to have their hatchery there. So lots of fish. I mean, they catch 8, 9, 10-pound bass. Really. Indian Creek Recreation Area. It's not a state park.
Okay.
It's a recreation area because it's on an old CC camp, Civilian Conservation Board.
Okay.
It's huge. We have major offices there. Even have our own airport there.
Airport.
Yes. Own
Okay.
airport.
Why?
Yeah. Is it good?
It's a good answer.
But that's where Acadian Ambulance and all now, that's their base operations there in Central Louisiana. You saw Air America, remember that in the Vietnam War? Well, this is Air Louisiana.
Oh, goodness gracious.
The big
Okay.
hangar and-
Yeah.
It's also where we have our heavy equipment training academy now. And that's bases next to the airport.
Okay.
Where we build obstacle courses for bulldozers. Yeah, that's interesting.
That is a sentence I didn't think I'd hear.
Obstacle course for bulldozers.
Obstacle courses for
So
bulldozers.
you go, when you get on the slide,
Uh-huh.
and we stick them on top of stumps, and you got to figure out how to get off the stump, and we send you down to mud holes. We fill up with water. You got to work your way through. Or if you get stuck, you got to get pulled out. How to fight fires or how to negotiate. Because when you're in the woods,
Yeah.
you got to deal with all that.
Oh, yeah.
You better know how, right?
Yeah.
If not, you get roasted. You can burn. You can die in there.
Yeah.
In the fire, right?
Right.
So it's good going on.
I count it down to Sunday.
Sunday, that's your day off.
So my in-laws, my father-in-law, was one of the founding members of the St. Patrick's Day Committee in
Oh,
Metairie.
wonderful.
So I'll be marching up Metairie Road on Sunday.
There you go. Tomorrow night is Gridiron, where we get roasted.
Yeah, they didn't come on to promote that this year, and I don't know why.
I'll be there tomorrow night. You have to be up front. You get a table and they put us up front, where they can see our faces from the stage. He's going down. We'll be from that stop one, so we'll just be talking about that's off the topic. I want my dog.
Jen's text. No. Mess with that woman like that. There it is. Yeah.
What kind of music, like at Fushon, Grand Isle, Howie Beach, what kind of music would that be? Would that be country or something, or what?
Dude, that'd be like
Bouchon?
Cajun Creole. A
Yeah,
lot of Cajun
man.
music.
Cajun music?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Cajun.
Cajun
Like some
Creole.
beach music.
It's Ray, right?
Yes, Mike.
Hey, Mike, what you got? I knew that was you,
How
but
you
I didn't
doing?
want to be rude.
Oh, that's all right.
So Cajun would be a good fit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grand Isle, I'd say Jimmy Buffett though.
That's what I'm thinking. Yacht rock.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
Margarita.
Some Kenny
Tommy
Chesney.
Chesney.
Some, No Shoes Radio,
White Boot Radio.
Well,
Yeah.
No Shoes Radio is Kenny Chesney's station on XM Radio.
really?
Oh, man, it's just nothing but island music, and it's so good.
806 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. We got a busy hour this hour. Just one guest in the third hour. That'd be Ed Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain. He's coming up at 8:15. We've got the This Day in History coming your way in exactly 60 seconds. I do need to remind you, tomorrow it begins, or I should say they return. Tomorrow in the Highland Kenilworth area on Highland Road, right by Kenilworth, Mathern's is coming home, y'all. The OG location of Mathern's in Baton Rouge is back as of tomorrow. So today, if you live in that area, commute through that area, go ahead, download the Mathern's Rewards app now so you can be taking advantage of the deals from the moment they open up. Now, I am going to warn you, it's going to be a soft open. All right. It's there. They are not blowing it all out on day one. As you go in there, they're going to be stocking the inventory as you shop. They are going to be moving in and getting settled as you shop. But the people you love and the prices you miss are coming back to Highland at Kenilworth as Mathern's makes their return. All right. This Day in History. Let's go.
All right.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Starting
Yes,
off
sir.
in 1852, the Uncle Sam cartoon figure debuts in the New York Lantern Weekly.
Really?
So the one we know as,
The Uncle Sam.
the Uncle Sam.
Debuted in 1852.
Yep. 1923, American inventor Lee DeForest demonstrates his sound on film moving pictures.
Awesome.
So there's that.
Was it synced up with the video, or was it like a kung fu movie?
I bet it wasn't synced up.
Yeah. Yep.
1980, John Wayne Gacy receives the death sentence in Illinois for the murder of 12 people.
Okay.
Today, 1982, ABC crime drama T.J. Hooker premieres, starring William Shatner.
All right. At some point along the way, T.J. Hooker needs his due because Captain James Tiberius Kirk gets all the plug from William Shatner.
Yeah.
If not, Denny Crane. But between Denny Crane and Captain James T. Kirk, you had T.J. Hooker in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Underrated character.
Yeah.
Underrated.
I was going to ask if you watched that show. That's fun. Hey, 1987, John Gotti, boss of the Gambino crime family, is acquitted of racketeering.
Wait, which year?
87.
So that's when he became the Teflon Don.
Okay.
Yeah. Before that, he was the Dapper Don. So,
All right.
yeah.
2018, National Geographic magazine admits its past coverage was racist in an issue to mark the 50 years since the death of Martin Luther King Jr. Wow.
What?
Yeah. Okay.
How is their coverage racist?
I don't know. Yeah.
Whatever.
They admitted to it, so they must have.
Sure, why not?
Been true. Let's see. 2019. Speaking of Gambino families, a member of the New York Gambino mob family, Frank Cali, shot dead outside his home. The first killing of the high-ranking mobster since 1985. A lot of mobsters today.
Yeah. 85 was, of course, when Castellano was killed, making John Gotti the boss.
Yes, and today
Outside of Spark Steakhouse. Why do I know that?
I was gonna say, like I'm
there's
looking at
science that's not in my head. Like I couldn't comprehend physics in high school, but I know crap like that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Unfortunately, today is also the anniversary of the 2020 let's see, execution of Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor.
Oh,
Today
wow.
As well.
Yeah.
In Kentucky today.
All right.
2023 vinyl records outsell CDs for the first time since 1987.
Wow.
So there's that.
I like my vinyl records.
Oh, who
Yeah.
doesn't?
Yeah, you can really hear high fidelity.
You
can really hear
yeah,
the
you're
high
right.
fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Oh,
you
yeah.
haven't listened to your vinyl records on a hi-fi high fidelity, you're missing something.
I know. I feel like I am because I just
Mhm.
have a cheap stereo that I listen to my vinyl on, and I don't
Get
feel like
your-
I'm getting the full experience.
Find an old Marantz. You remember those, right? The old Marantz.
No.
What? Anyway, yeah, Marantz was a big deal, but high fidelity because you can hear all the sounds
Right.
on that vinyl record.
Right.
And
Which
it's
basically meant
deep.
the microphone picked up everything in the room.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
That's what
everything.
that meant.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
If a roadie was coughing, you heard it.
yes.
Yeah.
You get the full
Yeah.
experience.
When do
Got
we
a
get song credit?
couple of more things that happened on this day. You skip right past 2013.
What? Let's
Yeah.
see. What we got?
It was on this day in 2013 that Jorge Mario Bergoglio was elected Pope.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Taking the name Francis. That was
Pope
so he's-
Francis.
that's right. So he's been Pope for 12 years now.
Wow.
Birthdays.
We said at the same time. William H. Macy is on the top of this list. But let's see who else here. You probably have better ones than I do. Rapper Common as well. Let's see. Noel Fisher, actor. Yeah, it's not really.
No.
Yeah.
All right. I've
Anybody
got a few for you here. We
Okay.
got L. Ron Hubbard was born on this day in
Really?
1911. Yep. And a lot of deaths on this day, but also born on this day from the sports world. As I go back to my second email there, Will Clark. Will Clark, former San Francisco Giant, former Texas Ranger, former Mississippi State Bulldog, former Jesuit Blue Jay. Will Clark, who, by the way, once hit a home run at Heap Field that landed on the cafeteria. Heap Field was the baseball field at St. Paul's.
Yeah.
So he hit the cafeteria was behind the right field fence, and he hit the ball into the roof of the cafeteria. So Will Clark, Prairieville resident, if I'm not mistaken, lives right up the road.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Not too shabby. Hey, deaths. Susan B. Anthony,
Yes.
former President Benjamin Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I have actor William Hurt as well. Let's see. Oh, I know I had one more.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler was your other
There we
one.
go.
Yeah. American boxer Marvin Hagler died on this day in 2021. What national day is it?
National K9 Veterans Day.
Okay.
This is a day for the.
We can do that.
Yeah.
For sure. 813 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We are just about due up for a break. Before we take that break, though, got to remind you, or ask you, I should say, got your lunch plans yet? Got your dinner plans for tonight? P.F. Chang's is in the mix, or at least needs to be. Now, with P.F. Chang's, you know what you're getting. You're getting fantastic Asian-inspired food. Wonderful. You're getting great service. You're getting wonderful ambiance. But, and since we got Mike Strain in the house, I'm going to ask you, hey, Mike, Dr. Strain,
Yes.
do you know what the PF stands for in PF Chang's?
I absolutely don't.
You don't.
I do not.
What if I were to tell you that PF Chang's, internationally renowned PF Chang's,
Yes.
got its start with local ties? PF stands for Paul Fleming of
Really?
Fleming Steakhouse. Now, before Paul Fleming did Fleming Steakhouse, he franchised Ruth's Chris Steakhouses around the country. He's from New Iberia.
That's wonderful.
Would you believe that PF Chang's has its roots from
New Iberia?
Right.
No.
Now, the first PF Chang's was not in New Iberia. Paul Fleming just happens to be from New Iberia.
Uh-huh.
But you're talking about the best Asian food out there.
2 weeks ago, I ate at P.F. Chang's in Washington, D.C.
There
in
you
the
go.
airport.
There
in
you
the
go.
airport, right.
All
Yes.
courtesy of a man from New Iberia, and Chang was the chef.
Well, see, now
So,
I've learned something.
There you go.
Yes, Paul Fleming, P.F. Chang's.
That's right. PF
Wow.
Chang's. You know where to find them. They're in Town Center off Corporate Boulevard. Look for the giant golden horse.
I'd have never got that one.
Somebody randomly asked me on the Facebook chat, what does the PF stand for? I was like, I don't know. So I went down the rabbit hole
PF
looking for it.
Yeah.
Chang was the Chinese chef, and Paul Fleming was the restaurateur.
Wow.
He wanted to take the upscale ambiance that you'd get from a Ruth's Chris
Mm-hmm.
and bring it over to Chinese food.
It takes an entrepreneur to think that far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, who is that? Ash.
The hyperbole. Everything is the dumbest. Everything is the worst. There's nothing that's like, there's no day where he's mildly agitated.
Oh,
it's
no.
always the
No.
worst thing ever.
Can you believe?
Oh.
Well, the highways have been terrible.
Yes, they have.
I've been staying over. I can't take 2 hours to get here in the morning.
Right.
It's crazy.
.817 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We've got our Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain in with us. We check in with Dr. Strain once a month, get an update on basically everything we grow, raise, and eat in Louisiana. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. It's crawfish time.
It is crawfish
and they
time.
are nice. You can get some right here at Rouse's.
Mhm.
Live crawfish today, $3.75 a pound.
So there
Wow.
is in the back of my subdivision, I own the subdivision. There's back of Sherwood Forest,
Uh-huh.
a little place called Montalbanos.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of Christy and I's go-to.
Yeah.
Just 'cause the proximity to the house and
That's
everything right there. We of course we love Tony's. Everybody loves
Yeah,
Tony's.
everybody loves
Tony's
Tony's.
is way the hell over there, so it's a much farther drive. So we got Montalbanos right, like literally in our own backyard, and we went there for, of course, we kick off crawfish season on Valentine's Day,
Certainly.
and rather than
Certainly.
chasing reservations anywhere, we stop off. We get a bunch of crawfish, maybe a little corn and potatoes as well. And then rather than fight the crowds and the reservations, we just stay at home and slam down a whole bunch of crawfish. So that kicked us off, and I got to tell you, they were good then, and they're bigger
They're
now.
getting bigger. They're getting better.
Yes.
All the seafood. Look, the shrimp are fantastic right now. The shrimp and the crabs. Man, you need to get some, from White Boot Warriors from Bobby Lavelle down in the parish.
Okay.
And they are.
Let's pull this around for you.
Pull it around. There we go. And they are really, really, really nice. Nice and fat. But, we need to really think about enjoying our seafood more. Man, we have the oysters. We got the crabs. We got the crawfish. We got the shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We got catfish. Now's the time. And again, we're really pushing on fresh local seafood,
Mhm.
right? Because that sustains our industry. But the seafood industry in Louisiana is about 1.6 billion with a B, $1.6 billion. And that's direct farm gate. I mean, so
Right.
it's a huge part of our economy. And we really need to further promote it, but just, get your crawfish, get a few pounds of shrimp. You can buy nice shrimp for under $5 a pound.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Think about that. Bring them home and boil them. Don't boil them like you do crawfish, right? You got to boil them a little bit whole. You don't overcook your shrimp. That's a big mistake.
No, that's how the shell sticks to them.
Uh-huh.
That's how the shell sticks to the meat.
That's
is
right.
if
You got to do
overboil
it just right.
Yep. Yeah. Look, I leave the shrimp boiling to the professionals.
Uh-huh.
I'll bring them home already boiled.
I'll let my brother do it.
That's
He won't let me boil the shrimp. He says I mess them up.
see, my cousin competes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with the crawfish, you could beat Al Scaramuza. How about that?
Really?
Yeah.
Boy, I miss old Al
Yeah.
on the radio,
me too.
right?
Me
Yes,
too.
Al Scaramuza. He's got his white coat on. He's got a stethoscope checking out the crawfish. I said, yes, he's a nice crawfish.
The this is an old pic, but check that
Wow,
out.
that's it. Wow, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Yep. When we was a kid, we listened to him on the television and radio
Mhm.
all the time. Right,
He is
Al Scramuzza.
a Louisiana legend, to be sure. By the way, I was showing Dr. Train a picture of my family with Al
Yes.
Scramuzza. Now we only had 2 kids when that picture was taken, so that was a long time ago. Crabs,
Yes.
for certain. When we talk about Louisiana seafood, why do crabs so often get overlooked? I mean, crawfish are so popular.
Well, I will tell you, when I was young, my grandmother, we would boil hampers of crabs,
Mhm.
and you had a crab boil, and then you were there. It's a stay a while boil. In other words, it takes a while,
Mhm.
right? It's a social event, and then we just started where we weren't having those big crab boils anymore, and we need to get back to that, and putting crabs in your gumbo.
And they're so yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
you got to have crabs in your gumbo.
100%.
Right? Yes. And you take those crabs, and of course, you break them in quarters and put them in the gumbo. And so when you put that label in there, along with your okra and everything else, you got those crabs. It just adds so much flavor to that. But again, we need to start talking about that and reinvigorate everyone.
Well, I think one of the things with crabs is that sometimes we forget how plentiful they actually are. We have access to so much.
You go up on the East Coast. You go to Maryland. You know what you're eating? Louisiana crabs.
In Maryland.
Absolutely.
Our blue crabs.
Absolutely.
All right.
They're the finest blue crabs in the world. And so a lot of our crabs are shipped up the East Coast. And so, and there's a huge market for that.
We, see, when I was growing up, we had crab traps that were out on Lake Pontchartrain. And like right alongside the causeway. So me and my dad would go out on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings.
That's right.
And pick up all the traps. We'd eat what we could eat. We'd sell the rest.
Or you'd go to Fontainebleau State Park, take an old inner tube, put a hamper in it.
Oh yeah.
Take a rope and tie it to your belt loop.
Yeah.
And walk with a net.
Yeah.
Right at dawn.
Just it is that easy.
That easy. That's right.
Down in Grand Isle, just get a piece of rebar, stick the trap in the ground, come back half an hour later, it's full.
Wow.
I know.
Yes.
Yes.
And my grandfather, when he retired from the state police, he was a professional crabber.
Okay.
Yes. And so he had his crab boat. It's called the Petey Ann, after 2 of his granddaughters.
The meat is so good.
And he would always bring us crabs.
Yeah.
Especially soft shell crabs, right? Oh my gosh. When's the last time you had a soft shell crab po' boy? And if you didn't have the Leidenheimer French bread, the chewy French bread, you just put it on toast, right? Oh my goodness. Fresh.
Last time I had a soft shell crab po' boy was I gotta go back to St. Tammany again, back Rips in Mandeville.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Rip Seafood. Absolutely. But that soft shell crab po' boy. Now you can get here at Jubin's that Hallelujah crab, soft shell crab that's stuffed.
Yes.
Delicious. Incredible.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you've never had the Hallelujah crab from Jubin's,
you got to do it. You got to come.
That.
People
Remedy
come
that.
from around the entirety of the United States.
Yeah.
They go there. They want the Hallelujah crab. They bring it out, and it's standing up with its claws up at you like that. And it's a soft shell crab that's stuffed, right, with like a hollandaise, a special sauce on it. It's incredible.
Yeah. We got our Ed Commissioner, Dr. Mike Train, with us, getting brought up to speed on everything going on in his world, which means everything going on in our world. If it comes out of the ground, if it's grown, if it's
we're going to talk
planted,
about it.
If you're eating it, we're talking about it for sure. And Lent is the perfect time as well, because we quote unquote sacrifice.
Every day is Friday in Lent, right?
Yeah, it should be. It absolutely should be. The Lenten season this year we got off to a late start because we had a late Mardi Gras, obviously. That presents a little bit of a benefit for the crawfish season
because we had those freezes, we had that cold weather, allowed the crawfish to feed more and to get bigger and better and more plentiful right now. Yes.
We got so much we got to cover this morning. Can we step away from things we eat for just a second to talk about a recent episode of Crawfish Tales where y'all profiled a certified Louisiana tulip farm?
Yes, isn't that incredible?
We make tulips here.
We make tulips here. Yes, and it's called the Yellow Van Farm, and it's an old dairy farm, and it's in that Livingston Tangipahoa area.
Yeah,
and Tangipahoa, and Actually, the farm belonged to a Mr. Sims, who was Earl Long's confidential attorney. Had that, it's a 600-acre farm, and the old dairy barn, actually where the farm is, was one of the places that they quote renovated. So Earl and Mr. Sim, they would have parties out there. So now I think a granddaughter has it now at 600 and something acres, but they went and started planting tulips.
Okay.
And they normally would order about 20,000 tulips and plant them. And then, like, I think this year they got like 40,000 came in.
Oh, wow.
And they have a tulip festival. And it's incredible. People come out, and it's like an agritourism kind of thing. And then we have a tulip festival, but they are incredible. And you got to know what you're doing to raise tulips. And they do an excellent job. But they import the bulbs,
Mm-hmm.
and they raise the tulips. And a portion of that money goes again to a charitable organization. And I think like a children's hospital or something.
That's pretty cool. They're in you said Tangipahoa, they're in Larange.
Larange.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just what kind of
Tangipahoa.
slightly northeast of Hammond.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're out there. They're out there in the woods now,
Mhm.
right? Around what would be it's off of 190, kind of north, right?
Yeah.
Right. You got to know how to get there, but you can find it.
So tulips isn't something you usually think of when you think of Louisiana,
No.
though.
Absolutely not. But
so
they do
how do they
very
adapt
well
to our climate?
Well, they keep the bulbs cold, and they plant them at a certain point, a certain window. They plant them,
Okay.
and then they harvest them.
All right.
And so when the bulbs come in, they got refrigeration units out there
Mhm.
for the bulbs. So they get them in, and they know exactly what they're doing. And when they bloom, they bloom. They are incredible. The thing about them, once they bloom, you can cut the bulb off from the plant, and they'll look beautiful for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Very, very cool
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
We've got our Ag Commissioner, Dr. Mike Strain, in with us. I'm kind of waiting until the next segment to dig in on tariffs, because I know there's some repercussions in the ag world here locally. But let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here. All the talk of recent tariffs, that which has been implemented, that which is just talk, and
well, if you don't like what you're hearing about tariffs, wait a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And it's going to change.
Yeah.
But if you remember in 2019, when President Trump first came in, our imbalance of trade was bad, and the other countries were really not treating us fairly.
Mhm.
We went in with tariffs and renegotiated our trade agreements, the USMCA, renegotiated with China, all these other countries. And the tariffs were used as a tool, basically, to get them back on to put a level playing field.
Mhm.
Now, at the time, they took the money from the tariffs and they put it into what's called the CCC, Commodity Corporation. And then that money was then used to offset losses due to farmers and businesses as a result of the tariffs.
Mhm.
So the Commodity Credit Corporation, they put the tariff money in there and used that to help with the farmers. So in this particular case, when the president came in, let me tell you what the issue is. We have a $1 trillion imbalance of trade. That means we import $1 trillion more than we export. Our country can't survive that way. We've got to get it right. For the last 3 years, we've had a negative balance of trade in agriculture. For the 50 years before that, we had a positive balance of trade. And this year, it's probably going to be a negative balance of trade headed towards $45 billion. We've got to correct that. So tariffs are one way to correct it, but it's also the tariffs are a way to bring them to the table.
Yes.
And he's brought them to the table immediately. And said, okay, we'll work on our side of the border too. Stop the flow of fentanyl and other illegal things. And it'll get their attention.
And using one as a carrot on a stick for the other, though. I mean, because yes, the trade imbalance is
that's
definitely
the power of the president.
Right. The trade imbalance should be the main priority with that. I tell you what, we get news, traffic, weather coming up. That's why I was kind of waiting on the tariff topic until the next segment. When we come back with Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain, that's where we're going to pick it up, talking tariffs. What products do we grow that we can actually see a real advantage here in the near future because of tariffs? We'll talk about that next on Talk 107.3 FM. Here comes your news. We'll start off with ABC. was reading a story the other day saying that.
That's the national security with tariffs.
Okay. Sorry. Hmm. Oh, this talks about exactly what I wanted to talk about, timber. Okay.
There's another.
We do a lot of timber and lumber in Louisiana. Yes. So that's my question. States in the Northeast are worried that prices are going to go up because they're cutting off Canadian timber or they're charging tariffs on Canadian.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking, with my question would be, is it as simple as we just move in? That's our space now?
But you know what the difference is between Canadian timber and Louisiana timber?
I do not know.
In Louisiana, you cut timber, you have to pay the landowner money. In China and in Canada, they just cut the timber and sell it. The government owns it also. So it's like they pay little or no stumpage, so they can dump it here because they're not paying for it. They just harvest it.
Who replaces it?
The Canadian government, they just let natural vegetation.
That doesn't sound very environmentally friendly.
No. Think about the big wildfires up there in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't manage their forest. That was another big issue, the fact that they weren't managing their forest. Not doing, all the things they need to do. You know who the biggest owner of timberland in Louisiana is?
Who?
The Canadians.
Really?
They own more now than Royal Martin. So they see us coming saying, look, you can't do this anymore. So they start buying Louisiana land. I think they own over 500,000 acres.
Oh, this week won't end. Oh, long week this week.
Oh, yeah. I understand.
The Hallelujah crab.
Oh, yeah.
Good Lord.
They're good. You ever have one?
No.
We need to get Chef Peter in here. Chef Peter Sclafani.
There we go.
That's
Dog train.
yeah. Out in Ascension.
Oh, okay.
Highway 44, Highway 70, Highway 23 out by that way.
Officials said that Canada, Brazil, and Germany, among others, are engaged in subsidizing their lumber.
Which makes for an unfair playing field.
Absolutely. Yeah. Remember what the Japanese said post World War II? Business is war.
Yeah. Now it looks like Saturday's rain's gonna be over with by 3 instead of 5.
Oh, okay.
All right, the sun's going to be making its way out today, and we will get up to 85 degrees before it's all said and done. Overnight low tonight gets down to 64. Clouds moving in tomorrow with a high of 83. Look for some overnight storms Friday night and Saturday. The reason they moved the wearing of the green parade to Sunday is because it's supposed to rain with thunderstorms all morning long on Saturday, starting around 7 a.m., continuing until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which that's good that it's done by 3 because LSU baseball is supposed to play at 6 p.m. on Saturday evening. Now, once that storm rolls through, going to cool temperatures down just a touch. Where today's high is getting up to 85, Sunday's high only gets up to 71, 75 on Monday, and then, well, right back to the 80s on Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, we're sunny and 64 in downtown Baton Rouge.
Yeah, they need to come on here and really promote gridiron where they can come.
They used to.
People
They
can
give
pay
me
to
a
come
call
get-
every
yeah.
year, and I've offered to write for it, and 8:38, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We got our Ag Commissioner, Dr. Mike Strain, in with us. He will be with us until the end of the show today when we hand off to Moon Griffon.
Do we have to do that?
No.
Can we just grab the show and say, look, Moon, look, you're on pause. You're on pause right now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you see his eye? Can you see his face? I know he's listening.
Yeah. It is.
See, you like that idea.
No, I do
that would
like
be
the
fun.
idea. I do like the idea.
Hijack his show.
Yep.
Right?
Well, he keeps hitting me up because he wants me to guest host for him.
Oh.
And I'm like, Moon, I do 3 hours before you, man. Like 2 more.
Yes. But
Eventually I will. I just got to stop being a baby about it. We were talking tariffs heading into the break.
yes.
And where I was walking the conversation to was, does Louisiana have the opportunity to benefit here?
Especially in our timber industry.
Yes.
We have 15 million acres of farmed softwoods,
Mhm.
pine timber. We have about 3.6 million acres of hardwoods in our bottomlands.
Mhm.
So you're looking at 18.6 million acres of the entirety of Louisiana is about 28 million acres.
Mhm.
So it's huge. One of the things that other countries, specifically Canada, China, Germany, they subsidize their timber industry. And so they will send timber here really below market. Okay.
Right.
And so that's been a huge issue. In Canada, what happens is that they will harvest the timber and not have to pay stumpage. In other words, don't have to pay the landowner. They will dump those hardwoods and softwoods on our markets, depressing our markets. It's long been an issue. It's a huge issue. And it's depressed the value of our timber.
Right.
And you think about a lot of people, that timber, that is their retirement. They put their retirement money into raising timber. And it's a huge issue because if that timber overgrows, you can't cut it, you can't harvest it. And now, it's subject to disease and fires and that sort of thing.
How is that a fair playing field where?
Well, that's the whole thing. The world is not a fair playing field. So we got to get back down to basics. Why do we have tariffs? Why do we have, trade agreements? Why are we always renegotiating? Because it's not a fair place.
Right.
And, and what happens is that governments will backdoor subsidize industries and then dump it on the foreign markets to generate cash. And
here in the United States, we have been in many ways victims of that for a long time. And again, let's get back to our $1 trillion imbalance of trade.
Right.
Whether it's India, supplementing fertilizer to the rice farmers or to the supplementing cost to the shrimp farmers, and then sending those products to the United States. No, fair and level playment. We can compete with anybody on a fair, level playing field, but it's when they doing the backdoor things to artificially suppress the price that the companies sell the products for.
Right.
Because they're being supplemented on the backside by the government.
Right. It's you can't have two businesses side by side and one doesn't have to pay for their inventory.
Right. That's exactly right. And so then they send it here and disrupt our markets. Right. The goal of the current administration in Washington is to rebuild the manufacturing and agricultural might of the United States in every aspect of what they're doing.
When you break that down, when you break that down, how long term does it take to really see effect of that?
4 to 8 years at least. It takes time.
Yeah.
To get a mill back into production, that's 1 or 2 years. To build a new one, it's 4 to 8 years. But it takes everything from the permitting, from the Corps of Engineers, to working with the EPA, to restructuring the markets. A lot of times you won't see what's happening for a period of years. We pass laws here in the Capitol. You don't see the effect for a number of years on what you're doing.
Now, what we do see is the immediate reaction. We're looking for that instant gratification.
Well,
looking for the 24-hour news cycle.
No, it's not going to work that way.
Right.
It takes time to rebuild and remove, but you've got to start. We've got to reverse these trends, and we've got to tell the world, look, you can't dump your products in the United States, but again, with higher interest rates, we can't curb inflation, right? We can't curb inflation because our fundamental monetary system, our fundamental way of doing business, the fundamental economy, we've got to right that ship. We just can't keep printing money. The federal government takes in $4 trillion in taxes, but spending $5.8 trillion a year. The interest on the national debt is now greater than what we spend on the military. We got to get it back under control.
Right.
We have got to, people got to go back to work in the United States. We got to produce those things that we consume. We got to have a fair and level playing field. And to correct that, look, we got to make some hard choices, right?
Oh no,
we got to do things. It's tough.
Yeah, I completely understand, and there's some of the extenuating circumstances that factor into it. Though, is questions like, is something as simple as a tariff what's going to level the playing field?
No, it's not. But it's multiple things at the same time.
Right.
In other words, and if you look at what's happened, another problem is that the foreign currencies have devalued so much.
Right.
The British pound sterling, the euro, the Japanese yen, the Chinese yuan, all of those have devalued progressively over the last 5 or 6 years against our American dollar, which means it is more difficult for us to export to them because their money is worth less.
Right.
Right. But they can sell us their goods cheaply because the American dollar buys more. But then again, that drives inflation.
So getting back to the question of with assume the tariff, right? Tariff gets implemented. Is America, and more specifically, is Louisiana ready to scale up and meet demand that would have come from Canada?
Yes, we are. I mean, we have a huge wood basket here. I mean, absolutely massive.
You mentioned the
wood basket.
But do we have all the other pieces, parts? Like
we've got to workforce is an issue, but we have, we can harvest it. We've got to get our mills back into production. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
We need lumber mills, and it's huge. We have the lumber, we need the mills and all that so that we can go ahead and supply the products for the housing industry, for the pulp industry, for the energy industry, and so how can it be that Canada can ship wood by rail or ship to Louisiana at a price more competitive than we can cut the tree right here.
Right.
And mill it right here. It's real simple because it's an unlevel playing field and we need to level the playing field.
We got our, we have our ag commissioner, Dr. Mike Strain, in with, I'm getting on the back end of that. Our ag commissioner, Dr. Mike Strain, in with us. I got about 15 minutes to go here before we do handoff. All right, timber's a big one. What other products, commodities, you name it, are going to be affected by tariffs?
Well, specifically, if you look at rice, if you look at what's happening with in India, there where they artificially supplement, the production of rice, and on foreign markets like China has said that they are going to put tariffs on the goods that they import from us. So it will have an effect, but and again in 2019 it had a negative effect, and we had the market facilitation program to help offset that impact to our farmers. But the bottom line is, if you look at corn, at under $5 a bushel, if you look at rice, $13-14 per hundred, that is artificially low. So the unlevel playing field has driven our commodity prices down.
Right.
Many commodities, many of our farmers, now you think about this, they are producing a crop that is below their cost. You don't see that reflected in the grocery stores, do you?
No.
No, absolutely not. And then we have to sell that abroad. So again, level the playing field will, at the end of the day, and renegotiating of these trade deals where they are fair will lift those commodity prices back up. And so everybody has fear. What could happen if, with these tariffs? We've been through this before, and if you remember, once we renegotiated, the United States, Canadian, USMCA renegotiated, with China, renegotiated with the European Union and the other parts of the world, we had the greatest growth and prosperity this nation had ever seen since Ronald Reagan.
With with that, I mean, the negotiation has to happen. Is it?
It's happening. It's happening all day, every day. It's happening.
What is at risk of becoming collateral damage as a result of that, though?
Well, you don't know.
Yeah.
Because again, everything is live time. But that's why we have such as the Commodity Corporation. And so when you look at that, the Commodity Credit Corporation, that will accumulate money from the tariffs that can be used then to offset if there are specific damages to a particular industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's there for.
We get 2 minutes until break. We'll continue during the break on Facebook Live, but on air, we got 2 minutes until break. I want to squeeze in one quick question before we hit break, and it's going to be changing topics real quick, and we're going to talk agritourism when we come back. But before we hit our break at 8:50, is the bird? Are we on the back end of the bird flu thing now?
No, sir.
Really?
We're not. Bird flu is now what we call endemic. In other words, it's here. It's all around us.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, we are still losing poultry farms to the bird flu.
Yep.
Now, what Secretary Brooke Rollins, she's come in with a 5-point plan. Now it's a 4-point plan. It's taking vaccination off the table.
Okay.
But increased biosecurity, and then working to try to rebuild our flocks. But the bottom line is the virus is out there. We're doing everything we can, but at any point in time, the virus can get into a poultry farm if there's a breakdown in biosecurity. So the virus is out there. If you look back a number of years ago, the epidemic stopped because the birds quit migrating south. Well, the infected birds are here, and They are everywhere. They're in the teal, they're in the geese, and it's so infectious. It's that when it gets into the poultry farms or into the dairy farm, then we lose those animals. So it's not over with yet. And so, but I do think we are at the end of the beginning. Now we got to get an end of the beginning.
Yes.
So we've got to get a handle on this. And look, I believe in vaccination. I think we're going to have to end up vaccinating. We vaccinate our poultry for a lot of things. We vaccinate our cattle for a lot of things. We need to add influenza into that regime and stop it permanently.
He is Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain. We got a break for your money now. We will continue next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called old man-itis. Just wait.
No, well, it's part of it, but this chair doesn't help me at all.
You getting cramps?
So it wobbles, and
Mhm.
my lower back muscles have to be engaged for the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, if it shifts, it pulls.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, that's what it did towards the last 3 minutes of that segment was just. God. Oh. All right. Oh. I'm just gonna stand for the rest of the show. It's. So when Jen sent me notes, she just said agritourism, and I don't know where we're going with that.
It's a big deal. Let's see if I have my agritourism notes. That's not how you spell it.
Oh, we were also supposed to talk spring gardens.
Oh,
we're gonna run out of time on that one.
Yeah, you can come back. Yeah, it's always spring garden time. $4.99. Rouse's 16-20 count shrimp,
Yeah.
fresh. But again,
Yeah. I hope Mathern's gets back into that end. They're a sponsor of the show. It's where they'll get back. The old Kenilworth supermarket used to have seafood. Had a great butcher over there too. But being downtown and on campus, they've kind of moved away from that end of it. But that's because of what the locations are.
yes, you probably wouldn't sell a lot of raw seafood there by campus.
No. Although I've been telling them for the last 3 years, during baseball season, why wouldn't you sell boiled seafood ready to roll?
You could go outside that door with ice chests.
Yeah.
I guarantee you could.
Yep.
I bet you would.
Yeah, boil it up right there. I mean, people are stopping by for cold beer or whatever else. Yeah. Yeah, a little $2 styrofoam ice chest filled with 10 pounds of crawfish.
Oh my gosh,
That's
yes.
that little tailgate package going on.
You put a little styrofoam cooler, sell the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, take the cooler. Who cares?
Last 30 days, high path avian influenza. 30 days, last 30. 139 flocks, 84 commercial, affected 18.72 million birds.
Good Lord.
In the last 30 days. Yeah.
I didn't know there were that many birds.
Oh, hell yeah. We're already up with probably, over the course of the disease, we had 166 million birds lost. Million.
And people
about
don't think
15% of our hens that lay table eggs.
We were talking about trickle-down effects, I think it's about a week or so ago. You would think about the price of eggs. Okay, whoop-de-doo. I just won't buy eggs this week. Yeah, well, you know what? It takes eggs to make bread. It takes eggs to make
Everything.
noodles. It takes eggs
Everything.
to make yeah, everything you make out there.
And you
You gotta-
just don't get. You can't go there and say, "All right, you girls, you got to lay 2 eggs today instead of 1." It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You have to have the super chickens that lay the eggs that become the hens that lay table eggs. Right. The whole. Oh yeah. Imagine you get avian influenza in the super chicken house. Right. That yes. Super.
Every month, I get something new dropped on me when Ag Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain is in with us. And as we're coming back in for break, he throws out the term
Super chickens.
Super chickens.
Absolutely. Hey,
Do they wear a cape?
What?
Do they wear a cape?
Wait, now you think about the super rooster. No. Wait now. When you talk about the broilers we have and the hens that lay the eggs,
yeah.
When you go several generations back, right? The genetics and the value of those poultry are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we talk about, well, how do we get more eggs? Well, we can't tell the hens to lay 2 a day, right? So for that hen, it's got to be of age, right?
Okay.
To lay eggs. Well, that hen has to be raised and it starts as an egg from a hen that is there that lays the eggs for the commercial layers versus broilers. So it goes generationally back.
Okay.
And so the thing about avian influenza, we were talking about in the last 30 days, we've lost 18.72 million birds. Million in 30 days. We're up to 166, pushing 200 million birds.
Volume is
right
insane.
But we've lost about 15% of our hens that lay table eggs, right? And the thing on broilers, it is insane. And that's why this is so serious. And so that's what, when you ask me, are we at the end of this? No, sir, we're not. And we've got to get a handle on it. Now, we've been working here. We haven't had it in Louisiana in any commercial flocks.
Okay.
But we have been pushing biosecurity now for several years. Very, very, very intense. On any given day, we have over 100 million birds, chickens in Louisiana. 100 million. It is a value of the industry, the poultry industry, is in excess of $1 billion. That's with a B.
Right.
There are more than 300 poultry farms in Louisiana.
Those
it's a
numbers
huge
are-
industry.
Yeah. Those numbers are ginormous.
Yes. But think about it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, in order to meet demand.
When you go to a facility like Foster Farms, where they are processing 100,000 plus birds a day, 100,000 in a day, right?
Yeah.
Or if you go to Sanderson Farms in Hammond, or, when you start looking at, if you want to know why food, is quote economical, it's because of the scale. If you go in the Midwest and, look at the value of pork, and pork is a very good deal too. You'll go to processing plants where they process 20,000 pigs a day. And and that is a tremendous operation. But again, scale. But the problem with avian influenza is that we've got to get ahead of this disease. It is changing. It's mutating.
Yeah.
We call it metapneumovirus because now it likes multiple species. Dairy cattle.
No.
It
come on.
likes,
It's-
chickens. So yes. And so that's a big deal.
All right. That's where we're going to have to call it for the day. We are done. Moon Griffon's coming up next. Stick around, though. I want to cover one more topic with Dr. Strain on Facebook Live. On air, we'll see you all tomorrow. Rocco will be in the house. All right.
Okay.
Agritourism. Yes.
We have we have 276 plus farms that are agritourism. And so we set this up going back to 2008 legislatively, where I, as commissioner, choose the type of farms that can be in agritourism. Then those farms put their plan together and get it approved by the Ag Center. And then they become an official agritourism site. And so agritourism is you pick blueberries, the corn maze. You go and fish for crawfish, bring them in and boil it, Crawfish Haven. So the thing about it is it brings people, young and old, children of all ages, as we say, in direct contact with where their food and fiber comes from. And so it really, especially for children, it really opens their eyes up to understand, what does it take to get that bran muffin? Or what does it take? Where do strawberries come from?
Right.
And they're just amazed where that comes from. So he gets young and old out of the house and into the field and the forest and on the, fishing for crawfish or crabs, where they actually see and have a greater understanding of where food comes from. So it's a big deal. And it adds to the bottom line of the farmer. And, so it can add supplemental income to the farmers. And it's a lot of fun. But it's important that we teach the next generation, because now we're more than 3 generations removed from the farm where your food comes from.
Which was why I asked earlier when we were talking about tariffs about, are we equipped to meet demand on the
Yes.
workforce front?
Well, on the workforce, I would say, yes. Well, we have plenty unemployed people that need to work for sure.
True.
Right?
True.
Yes.
Agritourism, what you're describing sounds a lot more like school field trips than family
That
vacations.
used to be. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The old field trips when you and I were coming up, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. And you can bring them out there. And if you go like to Landry's Vineyard, agritourism, there, those kids can run up and down those fields so they just plumb tucker it out.
Yeah.
But then again, there's an educational component to it. But it's really so they can have a greater understanding that they will carry with them their entire life. They remember those trips.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I remember picking strawberries.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big one. Here in town though, what would be close to Baton Rouge that we would be?
Your corn mazes would be really good, or you can go out Miss Heather's Strawberry Farm. You can pick strawberries. That's fairly close.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are a number of venues, and you can go to Department of Ag and Forestry. Go to our website ldaf.la.gov and look up agritourism, and you can get a list of all the different places you can go.
I was going to take us back to the St. Tammany Parish again. Would the Instigator Ranch be considered part of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let that little alligator be born in your hand,
Go
right?
in August. August
Yes.
is when they hatch.
August when they hatch.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
right. Instigator. Instigator. Right.
Christy and I did that when maybe we were pregnant with Carrie. So this was a while ago, but did the hatching right there in your hand.
Yes.
And then you throw the marshmallow to the little ones. And then
they do love marshmallows, don't they?
It's weird, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
And then they did a part of the tour is they'll put they'll let a mouse run free with the gators, and that mouse will run around on the backs of the alligators and on the heads of the alligators. And man, you start pulling for that mouse because he's just going.
Yes.
He's just going.
However,
and you're pulling for him, and it looks like he's gonna win, and nope.
Wow. That's right. Remember, that's
right down on him.
That's a reptile, right? That's a reptile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gator's gonna win.
Gator's gonna win.
Yeah. Mouse might cover the spread, but the Gator's gonna win. So, oh man,
it's amazing what we talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Yes.
All kinds of fun.
Yes.
Agritourism needs to be a bigger thing. How do we
does.
make this push?
We need to get more farms involved, and we need to get more people involved in bringing their kids, their young people of all ages, to agritourism events.
Okay.
Right. And if you look at one of the things, the river cruises now go up the river and they get off and go to farms. It's a big deal. They go to a crawfish farm, upriver, and they'll go out and see where they're harvested, and then they have a big crawfish boil. Agritourism. It really, really is a big deal.
I'm on board. All right, Shaw, we'll be back at it tomorrow. I know we have a full say. Oh, Daniel Earthbomber from the Pelican Institute is going to be on at 7:15, talking about that constitutional amendment number 2 that's on your ballot, as early voting will open on Saturday. Like I said, we got Rocco in for the 8 o'clock hour. It is Lent. I don't know what we're making tomorrow. Hopefully it's a seafood muffalata. You ever had that?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
Where's that? Where do you get that at?
Rocco's on
Rocco's.
Drusilla.
Yes, I know exactly where that's
Yeah.
at.
I don't know.
Seafood muffalata.
He may have stopped making them because they are quite inventory intensive.
Inventory or caloric?
Both.
Both. Yes.
Both. But yeah, you get the fish, the shrimp, and the oyster all on the bun.
Yes.
With the
Muffalata originated at Central Grocery.
Yes.
In New Orleans, where my grandfather sold water. Yes.
Really?
He bottled water, right? When he got back from the Merchant Marines, he bought the Abita Bottling Company. And my great-grandfather, great-grandmother, they would hand bottle this stuff and sell it to the Tusa family at Central Grocery.
Tusas. Okay.
The Tusas.
All
You know,
right.
at Central Grocery. Yes.
The and the muffalata, often misconception here, is a cold sandwich.
Uh-huh.
It's not a hot sandwich. You don't need to heat it up to melt. Everybody heats it up to melt the
No,
cheese.
no.
It's a cold sandwich.
Cold sandwich.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, and if you've never had one, at first bite, it's going to be a shock to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because you've got, you know, that
olives, yeah.
olives and all the, you know, the spices and the flavors, it just kind of explodes on you,
Yes.
right? Yes. If you've never had it,
Has Central reopened?
I don't know.
I know they were closed for a while, but while they're closed, the store next door has been selling the muffaladas.
Really?
So what they'll do is the Centrals will go in the morning and they'll make like 200 of them or whatever, and they'll package them. They'll like saran wrap them or whatever.
I remember,
and then they send them next door.
My father brought one home, and when I was a kid, it looked this big. They're
Yeah.
big, right?
Huge.
Yeah, you can't eat a whole muffalata.
No.
But they were designed for working people in the quarter
Mhm.
to come in there and get lunch.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
share and like
share. Yes.
half a muffalata would be lunch and dinner.
Absolutely.
You eat
So
a
they were
quarter.
big.
Yeah, you eat
You
a
ate it
quarter
by-
for your meal. Right.
That's right. You ate it by the quarters. That's
Right.
right. Yes.
So,
Uh-huh.
all right. Well, I forgot how we got on that. Oh, because
Yeah, how did we-
Rocco's
a
coming
seafood
in tomorrow.
muffalata.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what's on the seafood Now you got me interested. What is on the seafood muffalata?
So he's got the fried oysters on there and the fried shrimp on there.
Really?
Yeah. And I can't remember if he puts catfish on it as well.
Now, so he doesn't have He doesn't have like the salami. He doesn't have the cold cuts.
No. There's no meat. There's no cold cuts. It's all
And it's on top of the
seafood
olives.
and cheese. Yeah.
Seafood and cheese.
Well,
Seafood and
I
cheese.
cannot remember. No. I don't think there's cheese. It's been forever since I've had one. So
Well, now it's time.
yeah.
Yeah,
Normally
now it's time.
I just go with the fried shrimp po' boy because it's to die for.
Or do you get the half and a half?
Half and half's amazing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Somebody asked me, what would your last meal be? I said, that's real simple. I'd have a half and half, shrimp and oysters, and I would have, I like Leidenheimer French bread. If you like Rising, that's fine.
That's what he uses. No,
you
he
know,
uses
yeah, I
Leidenheimer.
like that kind of chewy French bread with some Creole tomatoes and some lettuce and some spicy Tabasco mayo.
Okay.
And barks. I'd be ready to negotiate at the pearly gates, right? Yeah, tell St. Peter. Now look, and he probably said, well, you know what? If you come back and you bring me a half and half with sweet potato fries and a barks, I might let you in.
See, that's how it's gonna work.
I said, yeah, it's gonna be a
That's how it's gonna
negotiation.
work. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Later.